we can fucking be podcasters.
Just get started. Yeah.
Let's just be podcasters for once.
Sometimes I forget that you haven't hit record because we'll just start chatting about something, and then it's like, oh shit, we haven't even started the show.
We missed the whole fun about the Asian gibberish, but whatever. We'll
that might be culturally insensitive, so it's probably best that was not recorded in our made-up language.
Probably. I don't know what's insensitive about it. Let's figure it out.
You want to figure it out? I think that it's I think you could make the case that it's insensitive in that we're speaking gibberish, but in such a way that a white person who doesn't know anything about like Asian language might mistake it for said Asian languge.
Yeah, it's like I'm too Asian is a Cajun Asian.
Cajun Asian and Asian. That's very specific. I like it.
Yeah.
There's at least one out there, I'm sure. Just drinking my White Claw, don't mind me.
It's like I'm too lazy to learn Chinese, which is not a language. I think it's Mandarin or Cantonese is the languge.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the sound of it, so I just like making up the word, the sounds. And then but I wonder what would happen if you did it in front of an Asian person. They'd probably just be really offended. They'd be like,
that's what I mean. Because
I
think it's because you're sort of putting on that accent that they have while speaking gibberish. And so it's probably insensitive.
It's like highlighting how it sounds like gibberish, but it's not when they speak it. So it's really offensive because it's like saying your language is just gibberish and you should try not to do that so much. But I like the way I think it's fun to impersonate things, not because they think they're speaking like, there's nothing inferior about ancient language like those.
It's interesting how those languages do, like there's like a flow to them that's not
totally different.
English is very like, it almost sounds like a dumb language because we speak kind of slowly in comparison.
Yeah,
and
their
our words
very sharp.
are much more like defined and enunciated, whereas like a lot of other languages, and maybe it's just because I don't know those languages, but there's like a flow to it that seems very rapid, like they just go really quickly. And it doesn't feel like there's as much enunciation.
Like I think in their languages, there's a lot of like vowel consonant, so it's very sharp. It's like and our language, it just has so many different influences from different other languages that ours has lots of like long words and words with less vowels, words with lots of more vowels, and our languages all come from Latin, whereas Asian languages don't come from that, so it's just totally different roots. They evolved completely separately.
Well, and from what I understand, our language is very hard to learn and understand because it's such a bastardized version of so many other languages that it's just hard for people to. I mean, look how confusing it is for people who were born in America and it's their first language.
That's true. Yeah,
and I mean, it's fucking
tons of different dialects in America. But I mean, we all generally can talk to each other unless you're Cajun and you can't understand a fucking word they're saying.
Or you're like Appalachian mountain fucking hardcore hillbilly.
Yeah, that's like our version
down about that mountain there, and got about the buck down there, and
it's like our version of really hard to understand Irish, where they're like like that you like Dags fucking from Snatch. You're like, what?
Even the people from Ireland are like, nothing.
Yeah, no, that's all right, you gypsy fuck, get out of here. Appalachia is like our gypsy people. Well, it's more like the Hills Have Eyes. Like that's kind of like who those folks are, right?
Well, those guys got fucked up from like the nuclear bomb tests in the Nevada desert.
In Nevada,
so.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily their fault that they're all fucked up.
It's not just cultural.
No, it's definitely some science thrown in the mix. Experimental science.
God dang science. Always ruining stuff for people.
It's true. It's
fucking true.
Science is creating all kinds of problems in society right now because of the vaccine. So without
science,
the vaccine wouldn't have existed. So Oh man,
I don't want to get in on it.
No, I was gonna say it's exhausting.
Last time. No, and I've been talking to a couple friends, and then they just started the mask mandate, so it's like everybody has the same new opinions. It's like,
Dude,
all
I'm
right.
so sick of it too. And what sucks is that
Yeah.
my job literally involves it, and
Yeah.
so I just can't escape it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, I agree. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about something else. What have you been up to? It's been a week, I think.
Yeah, it's been a week. I've been working on notes for a new novel while I'm waiting for
Mhm.
Vanessa's editing the last book that I just wrote. So and that'll she needs some time. It takes a little while for her to get through it all. So usually this is the phase in my writing career where I just start working on the next book while I'm waiting for notes and edits from the previous one. So, and I kind of did like a rough outline. I sort of almost have the whole thing plotted out. It's going to be, I think, a much shorter. I wanted it to be kind of a different type of story than what I've written, which is usually what I try to do anyway. But I think it'll be a much shorter, kind of more direct story that kind of will move at like a nice brisk pace. Like I don't like as I was doing notes, it like kept growing and growing, and I was like, I don't really want it to become like this big, crazy, ridiculous thing. I want it to be a very focused story on this like specific group of characters and this experience that they go through. Because like once you start doing like some lore building and you're doing research on these like other like these old cultures and stuff, like it's so easy for it to balloon way out of control because you want to start incorporating all these other elements into the story. And so I've been trying to peel back on that a little bit so that it doesn't get too unwieldy, because I want it to be like a 200 page, like just lean and mean kind of read.
Sure.
But we'll see how it actually goes once I actually start writing it. Who knows? But
yeah, I think it's good to have the world building in the background, but you don't have to
stop and write about it.
You don't have to actually explain that to the reader. You can just imply it with the way that things are. This is just the way the world is, and the reader can kind of extrapolate from the language as well. That's the you explaining it.
Like kind of like what you're saying with the world building is that you're writing from the perspective of characters who this is their life. Like it doesn't need to be explained. You know how that's why a lot of stories that have these rich lores usually have a cipher character that's typically the main character that doesn't know anything about this like place that they're going to, so that it can be explained to that character, therefore being explained to the reader. And so, but I enjoy sort of just being thrown into it, right? Like you're just like, oh, the characters just talk about this thing because it's their everyday life, and then you just have to figure it out through the context of their conversations.
Yep.
Because
it's more realistic. That's how you really learn things in life. Typically somebody doesn't sit you down and go, okay, this is how American culture works. Here's everything, and this is the history and all that. It's like in Dune. It just throws you in, and there's almost no like expository like background. Like it's just, this is the way things are. They wrote in on positron or whatever, posisensors, or he has like tons of words that he made up for it. And it's just, you just have to imagine what's going on and try to figure it out. It's actually one of the reasons why a lot of people I've talked to don't like the books, is because he just goes right into like shit that just is made up, like technology and
think about how much time you have to spend explaining that technology. Go, how was it invented? You know, like all this stuff. It's easier, especially in hardcore sci-fi like that, where it's like you just say what it is and sort of like what its function is, and people just need to piece it together themselves. Because usually it correlates to something in real life, you know, like a spaceship. You're not going to go into, especially if you created some kind of special hyperdrive type system so that they can jet around the cosmos at, you know, a fraction of the time it would take us in real life. It's like, there's no point going in and explaining in depth how that was invented and created. It's all the reader needs to know is that they have this cool special engine that gets them from place to place.
Hey, did you turn on the cool special engine? Yeah, it's on, dude. Let's go. Hit it. Hyperdrive. Oh, how does this cool special engine work? Well, let me explain it, Dave. Like, yeah, it's not how anything works.
No, not at all. You know, it makes me think of like Star Wars, you know, like lightsabers. That's what they can't even like that. It's like impossible for something like that to be created. So you just roll with it. It's a laser sword. Deal with it.
Yeah.
You have to suspend some disbelief.
It's a sun inside of a handle that is somehow contained.
It's a
Don't worry about
crystal,
it.
actually. Don't worry. I mean,
Well, the
what's funny
crystal
is
is
in
what
Star
like
Wars lore,
generates it.
they like break down, how lightsabers are created. Like there's a Kuiper crystal in the
Yeah.
hilt, which is what
Yeah.
ignites the blade and
Might as well
affects what
call it like
color
a
it is.
quantum crystal. Like you just add quantum and it becomes scientifically mysterious. But
Well, there's people who've been able
amazing.
to create like lightsabers
Yeah,
in real life, but what it usually is it's like a metal rod that has a
that
cap on the top, and
it's
then
hyperheated or something.
because they're like, you have to have something to stop this light from
Yeah, because light just
going on
continues
forever.
forever.
Like,
Yeah.
so whereas then
Yeah.
the lightsabers, like they go up like 5 feet and then stop suddenly, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
what's stopping it? That's weird.
The
Um,
force.
yeah, the
The
force, exactly.
midi-chlorians that are just like pushing it down. We got to
No
keep this
more
fucking
light. You
thing.
got to stay right here.
If it's too long, the Jedi's will have hard times with the sword fighting. This is an allegory for samurai. We can't.
Space samurai.
What if I modify my lightsaber that it's real long and I can just reach out and get people?
It'd
I
be
don't have to
so
be so
unwieldy.
close.
We have to
I don't
stop
know.
it.
I don't want to be so close to him. I've got allergies. I need to stay in my home with my lightsaber.
I appreciate that we have added to the Star Wars lore that midi-chlorians, these microscopic bacteria, are in fact chain smoking Jewish men.
Yes.
So that's good.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, everyone here. He's about to turn it on. Okay, he's turning on the lightsaber. Okay, he's using the force. Down. No, I can feel it. It's fine. I can feel he's using it. He's got the force in him.
Have you anybody seen Goldsmith? He's very good at helping keep the lightsaber blade from going too far. Where is Goldsmith?
Goldsmith. He's like the best. He's got so many little bacterial arms. Has anyone communicated with the bacteria inside of the Jedi? Do we know that there's enough in there?
Those assholes, they're always so slow to respond to my letters. I write to them. I'm like, hey, we've got a meeting on Tuesday. He's going to be meditating. We need to work together.
He's doing that trance thing where he's like in two places. It's hard. We got to fucking we got to talk to the guys over in the Eastern region that are going to be the Midi-chlorians that turn into his fucking, fake self. And then he's going to fight people.
It's an astral projection. I've told you, Jerry, 100 times.
God damn it. Jerry. That's a real Jewy name. Oh, Mordecai. Jedediah. Oh, Josiah, come over here. Those are Bible names. This world doesn't have the Bible, but it's sort of like the normal world. A long, long time ago where there's future things.
It's a galaxy far away. That's how they get you.
It's far, far away, but it's also a long time ago. There's so many things going on. If it's that long ago, then they would be closer to the Big Bang. So they would have a different, radioactive background noise.
I'd like to think that their story ends with the Big Bang, and then our life came. So it's like millions and billions of years ago, billions of millions.
Well, I think what is it, like 3 trillion years ago was Big Bang?
Okay, speaking? Sorry, trillions of millions of years ago,
or 3 billion? I don't know what. It's all fucking.
Remember. It's all fucking fake. God created the planet 2021 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why it's 2021. Fucking everybody overcomplicates it.
Radiocarbon dating is a fucking hoax propagated by the left-wing, liberal, Democrat
fucking heathens, man.
Heathen's
another word for idiot, basically.
Yeah, that's true. Like, they don't even believe in God. What's their problem? It's fucking heathens.
How do you explain being able to walk outside and not fall right and immediately into the sky?
How do you explain how a banana
God is holding you here?
How a banana fits in your hand? How do you explain that?
God.
It's fucking perfect. I believe in God. Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away.
Your heavenly embrace.
Oh, the bloody cream of the lamb. I want to get that tattooed on my body somewhere.
Bloody cream of the lamb?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get it on your cheek in little writing?
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know. Maybe as a tramp stamp. Just as bloody cream goes here.
Just bloody cream of the lamb around the back of the neck.
Or on my
fucking
knuckles.
hardcore.
My
Oh, there you
knuckles,
go.
bloody
Yeah.
cream of the lamb. Really small, like so it fits. And then I go like this, and it says it to people, and they're like, "Damn, you so Christian." He's like, fucking guys.
They're
Fucking,
like, what's
and
your problem, man?
then I fucking
Oh,
I
shit.
rip a fucking phone book for him. Bloody cream.
Of the lamb.
I don't know where I came up with that, but a long, long time ago, I was like, man, that's the worst phrase ever. It's the bloody. I'm
It's
saved
bloody
in the
and cream.
bloody.
They don't go together.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Pick one or the other.
No,
It's either
they
blood
don't.
of the lamb or cream of the lamb. I mean, you don't
I
want
don't
the
think
cream of the
there's
lamb.
no
That's
cream of the
probably inappropriate.
Cream of the lamb is like cream of mushroom soup, but it comes
There's
from
only one way
lambs.
you're getting cream out of the lamb, so
Mhm. I don't
it's
think.
gonna
I think that's
require a little
it's
elbow
like
grease.
little sheep pedophilia, because lambs are the babies.
Oh, shit.
Why is that? Why is lamb chops named lamb chops? Like, is it going to be food after it's done being a little puppet? You remember lamb chops? The little puppet.
Little,
This is the song that doesn't end, and it
Oh
goes
my
on and
God.
on,
I guess
my
not.
friend. You don't remember that song and that
No.
show? It was
Wait,
kind
which
of like,
show?
you know, the puppets in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood show. He had like he would like go into this weird room next to us in his house, and it would just be a puppet world where there was fucking it's like a kingdom, and there's like little fucking. Do you remember any of this?
I didn't watch Mr. Rogers. I mean, I know who Mr. Rogers is, but I never watched this show. And I feel like it's a little outside of my age demographic
It
now
must
for
be.
me to be
We're
able to
showing
enjoy.
our generational differences here.
Well, I mean, if I tried to go watch it now, it wouldn't do nothing for me. You know, I'd just be like, this is God. There's no
Yeah,
way
it's
this guy
not
was not a
sexy at
child
all.
molester. That's like all
Oh
I'd be able to
no,
think
not
about.
Mr. Rogers. He was like the
I
best
don't.
dude in the world. Have
It's
you
a good
ever
thing he's
have you seen
dead.
it, the documentary about it?
He died before Me Too could get to him. So
Oh no,
probably
he
for the
was
best.
bulletproof, man. He like went out of it. He like testified in front of Congress, like that what we should be doing is like helping kids and teach kids better. Like
Mhm.
he was like a real like good person. He was like
Yeah.
one of the only actual like famous people who actually was really good. And he didn't get caught doing anything crazy. So
Well, that's the thing is he didn't get caught. I'm just kidding. I'm
well,
sure
I
he
don't
seems
think he
like
did
totally
anything.
fine. I feel like if there was anything on him, it would have come out by now, especially with all,
Yeah, they're looking for it.
I'm sure a lot of people felt that way about Bill Cosby, and then we all saw how that fucking story ended. So did not go
yeah,
so
but
well.
Bill Cosby was also like a famous actor comedian. He wasn't just like on a little
Kid
kids
show
TV show
for his whole career. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he had kids in the show, but they were his kids. Who's that guy? The painter guy, the little tree painter guy. What's his name? That everyone loves
I
for
know who
no
you're
good
talking
reason.
about too. Oh God, he's got the fucking afro kind of hair with the jean shirts,
Yeah. Hey guys.
denim shirts. What the fuck is his name? It's completely.
Yeah, it's right there.
I can picture his fucking face and everything. He seems like a pretty genuine kind of guy too.
I'd be like finding out he's a bad guy. The dude
Yeah.
like had a whole episode where he was just feeding his baby squirrels. Like what?
Afro painting guy. Bob Ross. That's his
Bob
name.
Ross.
Literally, as soon as you put an Afro painting guy, Bob Ross pops up
Norman
immediately.
Ross. Bob Ross paintings. Yep. Like that guy.
I love Google
that guy didn't
so
do
much,
anything
dude.
bad. Yeah, I know, right? You can literally type in anything and you find it.
And it figures it out like right away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is who you're talking about.
Yeah. Like donkey.
Oh, that's fairly specific. Afro painting guy. I mean, how many of them were there really of note anyway?
Well, not of note, but in like just in their fucking houses during the 60s, probably a ton.
Yeah. Anyway, other than that, my week was fine. I just worked.
Yeah.
And it's been like where our work is one of the places that's made it mandatory to get the vaccine. And then we have a whole about almost a fifth of our employees are not vaccinated, and considerable amount of those are refusing to be vaccinated, so they're being put on administrative leave at the end of this month. Like August 31st was the deadline. Yeah, so they're not getting paid. And then I think it's like every few days that you're on administrative leave is like a write-up kind of thing. I don't remember how they have a specific word for it. Essentially, it's like
if you stop coming
a doc against you. So like after they're on administrative leave for so long, they just get terminated because they never returned and they didn't. And basically it's because they're failing to follow the company's policy, which
Yeah.
is what you agree to do when you're hired, is that you have to follow all their policies.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that, like, you know, we have to be fully vaccinated with everything else. Like, that was the first thing I had to do when I got hired, is I had to go get my
Oh,
blood
really?
work done so that
So
they could
there's a
figure out what
precedent for it.
vaccines. Yeah. So it's like you
Yeah.
have to be up to date on all your vaccines. This is just the new one. Anyway, so it's been kind of a stressful week at work because now we have to change a whole bunch of staffing shit around, because now I
Yeah.
have to take over the work for 2 other people that
Yeah.
are going to be on administrative leave at the end of this month. And so it's a fucking mess, man. It really sucks. And
Yeah.
it's frustrating and irritating, but you know, whatever. When people are going to do what they're going to do, and they have to face the repercussions of
aren't
whatever
gonna-
decision they
they just-
make. So,
Yep, they're just not going to do it there.
but yeah, so just been
Yeah.
doing that shit. How was your
Another
week?
day in the life during COVID.
Mhm.
My week was similar. I worked 5 days in a row, and I was covering for a manager at a totally different store. So I was learning how this other store does stuff, which was a good experience. I was kind of nervous on my first day, but then after the first day, I kind of understood, like, this isn't that strange of a situation, and got to know the staff over there, and closed the store, and tried to help them as much as I could and
Is it
stay
much
busy.
different? Because I would imagine that the company probably has like general guidelines for how you do things. I
It
know,
is,
like,
but
yeah.
like they have different like little procedures, like, oh, we leave this unlocked, until the end of the day, or
Mhm.
we, like, we write this stuff down, whereas the other store doesn't. Like, there's just a lot of little things that, like, you can kind of choose how you want to do it. It's not standardized completely, and so it's not much. It's really
Yeah, I
like
feel like that's pretty typical in different companies. It's like they have the
little
basic guidelines,
solutions.
and then
Yeah.
every store has their own little quirks, I
Yeah.
guess. Little
And the way they
things
do
that they
their,
do.
like, money was different. But once you ask somebody, you're like, okay, how do you do this? And they go, this is how we do it. I go, okay, that's it. I'm done. I don't need to, like, memorize it. It's just
Mhm.
a simple switch of the way you do it. But that was kind of nice to mix it up and do something different, and to also feel like very little pressure to, like, be their manager, because I'm not I'm not gonna be here. So, like, I don't need to, like, make big decisions for anybody. I
Mhm.
can't do that. I shouldn't be changing anything over here. This is not my job. My job is to, like, just help get the store, closed and staffed, with myself, and
Is that why they had
help
you
out on
doing it? Do
register
they
and all
not
that.
have a managers like in all their positions? Are they still hiring managers for that store
Yeah,
or something?
they're pretty. I mean, everywhere in America is looking to hire people.
Oh
So
yeah,
retail,
it's
especially, because it's already been hard to keep people in retail. These stores that I'm working for are no different. But one of the managers went on vacation, and normally you'd have 3 managers, but they only had 2, and one of them goes on vacation, and it's fuck you. So I had to come in and help
Hmm.
out. I didn't have to. I mean, well, I kind of did. They didn't, like, it wasn't as much of an ask as much as, like, hey,
You're
like,
gonna do this.
what do you think about doing this? And I'm like, well, if I say no, it makes me look like a pussy. So I'm obviously not going to do that.
It's true. How
I'm going to
many
be like, oh, I'm
decisions?
scared.
How many things have you said yes to in your life for fear of looking like a quote pussy end quote?
All of them.
All.
I do everything in life, assuming that somebody's, like, over here yelling, calling me, you fucking faggot.
Yeah.
It's my dad from when I was a
That-
kid, calling me a fucking mama's boy.
That's the
My dad
that's what
called me a
happens.
mama's boy when I was a kid, and it made a big
Oh,
impact.
really?
Not to derail your funny pussy comments, but
Well, no, I just
that is actually a decent motivator in my life, is, like, wanting a dad to be proud of me, but knowing that my dad thought I was a mama's boy when I was a
Well,
kid.
that's the big cultural difference between like, you know, the newer generations and then the generation of people who grew up like in the late 80s and 90s, is that, yeah, you know, gay and fag were thrown around not so much as terms against homosexuals, but just like you were a douchebag or an idiot or a weakling, or, you know, it like meant
Yeah.
different things. It was like
Yeah.
it's slang for something else. And so I
You
remember,
weren't
you
a
know,
man.
you made a lot of your decisions to prove that you were not a fag or a pussy or, you know, whatever.
Oh
other-
yeah, it was, yeah, for sure.
Now
Nowadays it's like, there are probably other things that are, like, kids get pressured into like being a certain way, but I don't
Yeah, I'm
think
curious
that's
what
as
Glenn does.
much. I don't think it's as the definition of men has changed so much, I'm sure.
I feel like
Um,
they just come up with new terms like every 10 to
yeah.
20 years. Like
Like simp.
insole's another big
Yeah,
one.
simp,
Simp. Like, yeah.
insole. Yeah. So it's like you're not a man if you uh fall in love with an internet celebrity. Like
Mhm.
or like, like a cam girl. Like that's you're like not a real man at that
Yeah.
point. I don't know.
Well, and internet dating was like a huge taboo back in the day. Now it's like that's what people do.
Yeah,
They
they
just
do. They
download
used to make
Tinder or
fun of that.
whatever.
Yeah. Now, good luck doing it any other way. You look
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
fucking person who harasses people in person. I was thinking about
Right.
that the other day. I was like, what would I do if I like was like attracted to some random chick that I like interacted with at a store? Like that's how you used to do it, is you just like meet somebody and you'd be like, oh,
Mhm.
that's attractive. That thing there, that like object.
That person that I know
Oh, that
nothing
human
about,
being.
I am sexually attracted to.
Yeah, I want to stick put things in there. Stick put.
That's how you put it.
That's
That's the scientific term for
it's like
everybody.
a
Always thought it was intercourse or coitus or
no,
one of
it's
those. Nope.
stick it
It's
in there.
stick put.
Stick put things. That's what my brain goes to. I want to have sex with this person, but they also seem very friendly. How do I get? I can't stand
How do
around
I
and just
get point A and
like
point
what
B to meet?
I can't like bring them fucking like flowers. They'll be like this
It's true.
fucking
Yeah.
this fucking psycho brought me flowers. This lovely gift that most women want, that they get mad at you for not
Do they
giving them
really
when you're in
want
a
it, or is that
relationship.
what we were trained as
Oh, it's
children to
just bullshit.
believe?
Of course it
Like
is.
the chivalry idea of relationships is sort of like it's
I think
so
they're
different now because
yeah,
when I grew up, it was like you always get the door for the girl, you hold it
yeah,
for
yeah.
her, you go around the side of her car and
Now
open
you
the
let it
door for
slam in
her,
her face
you
because she's
pay
a
for
yeah.
everything, you
You
buy
can't do any of that stuff.
flowers.
There's no rules anymore,
Yeah,
so you don't know what to do.
it's like I would know what to do if I was dating because I'd be like, that's what it was like when I was in high school. I did all those things and then I got married. So but I
Yeah,
feel like if I
right.
do
That's
those things
cool.
now, it's like, why are you
You're a
doing this? Is it
sexist
because I'm a
piece of
girl?
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, right.
I'm sure there's still plenty of women who probably appreciate those things, but
The
it's just
problem
like
is
a
you don't
tricky,
know. You
yeah.
don't know what, like, if
You have to
you're
like,
like, how do you figure it out? You try it, and then they're like, they slap you or something.
you almost need to create like an application, right, for dating.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's what I need.
would you describe yourself as old fashioned? Are you
Yeah,
more contemporary? Do you appreciate these things? Would you prefer that I not do these things? Like,
yeah.
I need to tailor our dating experience to what your expectations are
Hmm.
because I have no idea.
I'm trying to get in there. I
Yeah.
need to know how to do that. And I need you to tell me.
Yeah.
You let me know.
I'll do whatever. I
Yeah,
really
I
am
will,
ruled by my penis. Like,
I'll buy you stuff or I will
yeah,
make you buy stuff,
yeah.
whatever works for you.
My hormones are going a million
Hmm.
miles an hour. I just need to know how to reach my
Hmm.
goal
Yeah,
while also making sure you're happy. This is not a selfish thing. I need you to feel happy as well. So, how do we work
that
together
is
to
the
achieve
goal.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want this to be mutually beneficial,
exactly.
almost like a transaction. I will pay for it. What is happening?
Every relationship is a transaction. People don't want to think that, but it is.
I think almost everything that we do is some type of value exchange, even if it's just emotional value.
Mhm. I just feel bad for people who aren't like traditionally physically attractive, especially with the rise of Tinder and stuff, right? Because you're just swiping a certain direction based off of a fucking photograph and maybe a
Yeah.
few bullet points about a person. So it's
Well,
like,
and there's so many attractive people on there that the medium looking ones look worse
mhm,
because you're like, well, what if this one hot chick likes me? That would be
yeah,
so nice.
that would be so nice for me.
Why would I want to even try with the not so hot chick
Yeah,
when you actually like I don't know, before that, I guess it was like, who am I actually around?
mhm.
You're going to pick the hottest one that you're actually interacting with in your life.
Yeah,
And
or I
that's
feel
never
like
going to be as hot as the chick on Tinder because
no.
there's
Well, and the thing
models on there.
is we're getting to the age, right? Like once you get to late 30s, early 40s, people's attraction really starts changing a lot. Like women's like expectations almost come down to meet your physical appearance because you're now on the same level with all the other dudes because the really hot dudes maybe didn't take as good a care of themselves growing up, right? So Now they're all fucked up looking as they've aged really poorly. So, as you get older, the expectation I think starts coming down a little bit. So that might be helpful for some people out there who are, in that late 30s, early 40s sort of age range. But
yeah,
I
well,
think
and normally men of that age also have more money and more
Mhm.
prestige, and so women look at that as valuable.
that's the difference, right? When you're younger, it's all about the hot person you want to fuck. When you get older, it's more about, oh, this person has like a full-time job, they own a
You
house,
have a
like this is very
401k?
nice.
Yeah,
And you like your face is, tolerable. So, I don't mind. I
fine-ish.
don't mind letting you poke me once a week for
Oh
till we
man,
die or whatever.
you just said the magic words. Can you put on a filter that makes you have long hair, and then we can turn this into a fucking weird date? All right, I accept a poke once or twice a week. Oh, fucking here is all my money.
Right. Here you go.
Here's my heart and my money and all my sperm. Can
Do
have
with it what you will.
Do with it what you will.
But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, before it was just well, it's probably easier in a way back then because you, at least some people you got to know, like maybe you weren't attracted to them at first and you were friends with this person. And then you kind of get to know them after a little while
Yeah.
and you're like, oh,
You like
actually, I
bond
really,
in a way. Yeah.
Now it's fuck, man, that's hard. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta make the best first impression ever or it's game over.
I'm gonna make a series of masks, and it's gonna say I'm single on it.
Mhm.
I'm single. I'm not, or I'm like mildly attractive and
Mhm.
single on it.
I swear, I know you can't see the bottom
Yeah,
half of
I know
my
you can't
face, but
see very much of
if I
me.
lowered it, you'd be like,
You know what's
you're
interesting
like
about
a
the
7.
masks is for like when I'm looking at females is it highlights their eyes,
Mhm.
and you're like, I'm like, God damn, you got some fucking amazing eyes. And it's like, it's kind of takes the attention away from like what I would normally look at, which is just, the whole body and the
Mhm.
face. And it's hard to tell, like, are the eyes just like like a the only attractive part of them? Like, is it just the eyes? Because the eyes are great.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
There's like we have some new people who started at work recently, and some of them I don't even know what the fuck they look like outside of the top from the bridge of the nose up. But I
Yeah.
have no idea what the rest of their
Yeah.
face looks like.
We had some new employees at my old job, and I had never seen them without a mask. And then all of a sudden, like, we were in the break room and they took their mask up, and I was like, oh my God, I like know who you are now. Like, I can
Yeah.
actually pick you out of a lineup. Like, before I couldn't. I'd have to, like, it'd be very difficult.
Do you think in police lineups right now they have to make all of the people in the lineup wear a mask so that the other people can recognize them? They're like, when
I
I
can't
saw this
tell.
crime occurring, everybody was wearing a mask because they're being very respectful
Yeah.
of social guidelines, even though they're mugging this person. So if we
Yeah.
could have them all just put a mask on, I think I could identify which one it is because I can't tell.
It's so silly. Yeah. It's fucking silly. Like, before, if somebody came in a mask into your store, you'd be like, get that fucking lunatic
Yeah.
thing off your face, you fucking robber.
A lot of
And
places
now
wouldn't
if
even
they
let you wear
don't, you're
like the
like, can you
hat.
put a mask on, you fucking weirdo? We don't want to see your fucking mouth, you gross fuck.
I remember going to it was like a 7-Eleven or a Jackson's or something, one of those like little gas station convenience stores. I remember going in one time and I had my sunglasses and a hat on because it was summer, middle of the
Yeah, and they're
day.
like,
And I just walk in there
sunglasses,
like,
nope.
sir, you need to take off your sunglasses and your hat. And I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
okay. And now, yeah, it's like, no, we need you to cover half your face, please.
Well, and a lot of people
But
are
take your hat
wearing
off.
bandanas, and they look like straight up fucking train robbers.
Yeah.
And a lot of them like are fucking train robbers. Like, they're actually gonna rob you, and you're like, I don't know what to do about this.
How did you not get a vibe from the guy that he was maybe gonna just no? He was just a dude in a mask. I have no idea.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It was like a Gucci mask.
Yeah, it was really nice. I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna be a nice person, but no. He took the $22.37 out of my register. So now I'm broke.
$22. It's not a very big.
It was a slow
register.
day at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, no doubt. What are you drinking there, Mr.
It's
something different every time? Oh, another
peach
Celsius.
mango green tea.
Sounds pretty good. I got me some what is it, Black Rock? Yeah, Black Rock coffee.
Oh,
I enjoy their coffee. And
the Celsius things are my jam. This is about how I get my caffeine every day. It's like 200 milligrams in one of these little 12-ounce cans.
Nice.
It apparently is a healthy energy that accelerates my metabolism to burn body fat. I think we talked about this in the last episode, actually.
Yeah, I think we
It
talked
sounds
about that
vaguely
drink.
familiar now that I'm saying it.
I think anything that increases your heart rate is going to increase your metabolism because that's how that works. Like, so
that's like a
whatever.
big weight loss tip that I tell to all of my friends, particularly the male ones, is if you want to lose weight, you got to get your heart rate up. So you masturbate till you're close to coming, and then you just back off.
And then
because you're
and then
like,
do it again, and then
yeah, you
do it
just
again. Keep your
do it
heart
for that for like
up
an
and down,
hour,
up and down, up and down.
and but you can
It's
never
called
come
edging.
because once you come, it just all
Yeah,
plummets
your
right
blood
down,
pressure drops,
and then you go
your
take a
fucking
nap.
heart rate
So
drops, and you
yeah.
eat food, and
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
you ruined all that progress.
Mhm.
You should be a personal masturbatory trainer
Right.
where it's all about health and fitness, but you only like coach people as to how to masturbate better.
Well, there's a side benefit too, is that it helps you have greater control over your orgasm, and so it helps men last longer in the bedroom as well because you've sort of trained yourself to, hold it off instead of blowing prematurely or too quickly.
Yeah, that's
So
actually good advice. I
yeah,
think
so you get really
masturbation is a
fit,
good training.
and yeah, you have greater stamina in the bedroom. So
So you can't go wrong. It's just you have no mechanism for meeting people other than the fucking. So like you can be attractive, but you'll never meet anyone who gives a shit. Good luck. I like to blame the world for my problems. Did I mention that?
Don't we all?
Yeah. Ah, man. Speaking of the world and problems, let's get into the little topic we have for today.
Oh, okay.
Did you think of anything?
I'm
notes?
just gonna hear what you got,
Okay,
and
we'll
then
go
just
from my
sort of
list.
riff off of it because I was kind of thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, I feel like I can't really pick anything in particular, but
Well, I've been thinking about this for years, so
I think so.
I've got a list.
I was like, well, when I was looking at the list you sent me, I was like, I actually am pretty on board with some of these because they bother me as well.
Yeah, I think I sent you a picture of just kind of like partial piece of it, but you'll get more here.
Yeah, as I was
Okay.
reading, I think I was like reading it. I'm like, I pretty much am in agreement with everything on this list.
Oh,
Like,
everyone, I don't know. Yeah, people are gonna agree for sure. So
this is a bitching episode. This is
yeah,
an episode of complaining and bitching in good-hearted nature, since last episode was so fucking dire.
Yeah, this is like pet peeves. You know what grinds my gears type of segment.
You know what grinds my gears? People who say, you know what
Yeah,
grinds my gears? Fucking
exactly.
annoying.
Boom. Number one, don't say stupid, repeatable fucking idioms. Actually, I'm not a huge fan
Long
of
story
idioms.
short,
Yeah.
well, you already made it fucking long.
They
by
already
saying
had
that.
spent 20 minutes fucking not keeping it short.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate long story short. You're not telling a story either. You're just telling me about some dumb thing that happened that is not in story form. There's no beginning, middle, and end.
There's a solid chance nobody else but you cares. When somebody's like telling you a story, you're
You know
just
what that
like,
you know what long story short is? It's their recognition of your complete apathy on your face.
Yeah, just
They only say that as they realize you're not interested, and they go, oh, you're not okay. Long story short, let's get this done because I can't just stop in the middle of this fucking
I have
sentence.
so much more to tell you, but obviously I need to edit it. So
yeah, and I suck at telling stories.
Yeah, I have a hard time I add extraneous details that later on when I'm reflecting on the story that I told, I'm like, I don't know why I added that. That was not necessary.
I know. I hate when you're you're like halfway through a thing that just came up in your head, and then you realize this is really boring, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to waste your time.
Yeah, you know what? The payoff for this tale that I've been slowly weaving for you is not good. It's not satisfactory. I'm sorry.
Okay, so here's one. How about just blinkers? How do you feel about people using their blinkers? Are you
they should fucking use them because it's the easiest thing in the world. It's literally conveniently on the steering wheel that you should hopefully be holding with your fucking hand, and just click it in whichever direction you're going. Just let everybody know what's going on. Also, make sure that you fucking turn it off after you make your turn, so you're not driving down the street and people are waiting for you to turn.
That is true. That one is, I think a lot of us have done that on accident, but I'd rather you turned your blinker on and then left it on accident than you never used it. I dealt with two of these today, not today, but yesterday or the day before or whatever, like almost in a row, where I was at a intersection. I'm going to take a left, and it's at we each got the green light, so we can deal with this. The person in front doesn't have their blinker on, and then they don't go. The lights turn green and they don't go. And
oh, is it one of those ones where if they go straight, you have to yield to them?
Exactly.
But if they're turning, you guys just both turn together. Okay.
But if they don't blink, you don't know. So I'm blinking left. They just are sitting there as if they're waiting for me, and yet they're going straight. So they just end up going straight. And I'm like, you just fucking wasted a bunch of time confusing me. And then the other one, we were blinking left and they weren't blinking. And then they waited, but then they turned. And it was like, you saw us turning, so you could have just turned, and then we would have known that you were fucking turning. Just turn your blinker on, you fucking asshole. You know what I think?
Very simple.
I think almost everyone would say use your blinker, and most of those people don't use their blinker because I think people are just unwilling to admit that they're an asshole, and they just in their head they think they're cool and they do the right thing, but they actually don't.
Whenever I notice somebody not using their blinker, I tell myself, you know what? Maybe the blinker is broken. Maybe they turned it on and their back blinker is just not working for some reason. To justify to myself that hopefully this person in front of me is not a total asshole. But yeah, a lot of people don't use blinkers. I honestly, it doesn't drive me as crazy as it used to. Like, you know, when you're in a turn lane, you're technically supposed to still have it on, but at the same time, I'm like, they don't need to have it on. Obviously, you're in the turn lane, you have to turn.
If it's a turn only lane,
yeah. What it really annoys me is when you're like on the freeway and somebody's in the lane next to you, and they suddenly just move over and almost hit you, and you're like, I didn't even know you're trying to fucking get over. I would have braked a little bit and given you some fucking space, but you just decided to come right over.
Yeah. Well, and that's how people get in wrecks, because especially on the highway, because they just go, and somebody behind them is like, oh, I need to get up into this position, and they'll just zoom in. And so while they're zooming forward because nobody's in the way and nobody's blinking, and then that person goes in there, and it's just fucking blink, you assholes.
Yeah.
It's car deaths are car accidents are no joke.
It's just too easy to get a license is the problem. Like, it should be much more difficult to get a driver's license because there are.
Yeah, and I think with automated cars, a lot of that's going to go away. I think eventually it's just going to be all automated cars that communicate with each other.
I'm so excited for that. People like dread. I'm like, dude, are you telling me that I'm hopefully one day going to be able to sit in my car, just put in like on my GPS, like take me to work, and I can fucking read for like 25 minutes or something while this thing is taking me to work. This is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to solve a lot of problems on the road, and like people should not be able to just go like 150 miles an hour on the fucking road with other human beings around. They should have to go to a racetrack, sign up, sign a waiver, and then go fucking do that. But they fucking decide to drag race in the middle of the fucking street, putting a bunch of people in danger.
Yep.
And with living in Portland, there's no goddamn any fucking police to stop them.
Oh yeah,
because of the lower police budget. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. Here's one. People who pretend like they don't know how lines work, and they just cut the line, or they just sort of stand in front of people, or they go into like I work in a place that's kind of more like a grocery store, so sometimes you'll get kind of a long line, and then you'll add a cash register, and then there's this line already existing, and then a person will see you standing there getting ready to like open up your register, and they'll just jump in line, and you're like, no, you fucking piece of shit, those people are already in line.
Get the
back to get in that line, and then I'll help the next person. I've had to stop people, and like they do not like it, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm opening up, but you need to jump in that line because this person is next. You're not next. Or if you say I can help whoever's next, and then some dude like 3 people back just starts going toward you. Like, are you that? I fucking hate how people think like they're in such a hurry. They didn't expect a line. Like, you didn't think when you came here that you'd be in lines. Like, this is like, anyway.
I agree. Whenever I go to the grocery store, like every Friday when I get off work, I go to the grocery store on my way home and just buy the groceries for the week. And I know I'm like, it's a Friday afternoon, but a lot of people probably got paid today. It's gonna be busier than normal. So it's like every time I go to the store, I'm like, I'm gonna be waiting in line at the end. It's fucking amazing. If there is no line, it's like a happy exciting thing that just happened. But yeah, I like get in line and fully expecting to, have to wait for a little while. And yeah, no, it
And
drives
it's
me
never
crazy.
that long. But you wait
No,
in a line maybe 5 minutes maximum. You're
look at
waiting
your
in a
fucking
line.
phone, mind you, and you're before you know it, it's your turn.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Cause when I worked in retail, I remember that would happening, or people wouldn't get in line. They would just sort of become this amoeba in the front of the fucking register. And you're like, who's fucking next? You guys are all just kind of standing in a group. I guess we'll just make it a free for all. Here we go. But yeah, no, I agree. When you open a new register, it's like, no, this is for me to work off of the line that already exists. This isn't for you to get some sweet deal where you got to cut ahead of everybody all of a sudden. Nope.
Yeah, like I think it's because people don't beat the shit out of each other anymore. Whereas like, at some point, like somebody would just like fucking throw your shit on the ground and be like, what the fuck do you think you're doing?
Also,
You
all you gotta do is
lunatic?
just like sometimes you don't realize that where the line ends or whatever. So you like sometimes you have to ask the people, which is totally fine.
Yeah,
Just be like,
yeah.
oh, are you
Hey,
waiting to check out,
are
or
you next?
should I get behind you? Or
Yeah. If everybody just did that, just was less selfish and a little bit more like giving, and it would just make everything a lot easier. It makes somebody's day to like be like, hey, you want to go ahead because you only have like one item? Like
yeah, I try to do
that's no
that.
big deal. I do that. Yeah, why? If I can remember to,
Yeah,
I'll try
sometimes
to
I'm
do
not
it.
like not paying attention. If I'm like
Yeah, I'm
already at
not always.
the belt, and I'm like putting my items up
Yeah,
there,
and then you
and then
look around and they have like one item they're looking
yeah,
at you
you're like, oh fuck, but then the ladies already started ringing your shit through, and you're like, I
yeah,
am
and you're
so
like,
sorry. I would have just
yeah,
let you fucking go real quick.
not that big of a deal. Just stop being in such a
You
rush.
know what the other pet peeve I have, which is related to lines, is that I feel like, and this probably happens to, I feel like everybody feels like this happens to them. The person in front of you somehow always has a problem with their debit card,
I know.
or back in the
Or they're
day,
writing a
they
check.
would have fucking, yeah, they'd be writing a check, or
Oh,
they would
fuck you,
pull out their
grandma.
rubber banded stack of fucking coupons that
Yeah.
the cashier's got to
Oh, you
scan in.
motherfucker.
And you're
Oh,
just
I
like,
hate it.
really?
Yeah, I hate it. Or they're like looking for their money, like they didn't expect to go through a fucking thing that asks for money. Yeah.
Or like if they're using food stamps, like the food stamps don't pay for certain items, like I think energy drinks and stuff. And then the person's like fighting with the cashier
Yeah,
about
like
it,
it's
and the
their
cashier's
like
like,
they
no, like
let it through.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
Dude,
and then just
I had
go
a
ahead.
dude it literally with that with the food stamps. He all of his stuff was food stamps except for a thing of beer. And the beer he had exact cash for.
Oh
And then
boy.
one of the items that the person rang in, the system didn't know what it was, so they had to just manually enter it in. And it was $1.50. And this dude was like, what's that $1.50? I don't have $1.50. I'm not paying $1.50. We had to avoid the whole transaction and start over because he wouldn't cough up $1.50 when he was buying a case of beer in cash, because you can't use EBT for
Yeah.
that. And it was like this huge issue that took like 5 minutes to solve because we were trying to figure out why it didn't go on his EBT card. And it was because it was manually entered, so the system didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then it was like, dude, just cop up. You want this item, cough up $1.50. It's fucking crazy.
Or if you really, and like also who's running around with like, just enough money in their wallet to only buy beer? Like you left
Well,
your house with like, this is
he
all the
had
cash
more
I've
he
got.
had more money. He was just
Yeah.
not going to fucking do it. He's not paying for food. He's not buying his own food. You're going to buy him food as a tax paying person.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or if like, I don't know, there's been times where like I'm the kind of person that I'm so adverse to confrontation that like, how sometimes you'll see something on sale, right? And then they ring it up and it doesn't ring up as on sale because maybe
Yep.
the tag was wrong or there's a glitch in the system, whatever. I almost never say anything unless it's like ridiculously like, oh, I picked this thing up because it said it was half off and now it's not.
Yeah.
But even then,
sometimes
I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna pay the extra $2.50. I don't fucking care.
I
It's
had
not worth the time and effort of me saying, oh, actually, that $5 box of pasta or whatever, it said it was $2.50. Like, just that amount of effort,
Oh,
and
I
then the
don't give
person
a
having to
shit
go
about
in.
$1. I
Yeah,
hate
that's what
that
I mean.
shit.
At
Fuck
that point, I'm
you.
just like, well, I'm paying full price for it. I'll just make sure to savor this box of
Yeah.
pasta extra because I paid
I
$5.
just look at the cashier and go, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I'm getting out of here. We're not dealing with this. It's $1. I don't give a fuck about $1. I'm
think
not
it's
rich. I just don't like, it's not worth, I'm
the
not
time
that
and effort.
petty. I
Yeah.
have enough money. Like, I'm not that big of a penny pincher. And it's really weird when people are like, I'm pretty sure I've had people they buy an item and then they come back like 2 minutes later and they looked at the receipt and it was like 50 cents off. And
Yeah,
then they
can't.
come back and they don't realize that I can't just give you 50 cents because it's fucking funny. I have to record this as a refund, which means I have to refund it to you, resell it to you, and then reduce the price by the amount. That process is just like jumping in a new line. And so it takes 5 minutes to get this all sorted out because I have to go double check or whatever, or it takes time. I've given people literally 10 cents back on their credit card because they came back for a refund because they aren't going to pay what they shouldn't pay. Like, you fucking really, really petty person. Like, I can
Yeah.
see coming in and being like, hey, your price is wrong on that thing. I ended up paying a little bit more. I don't give a shit, but like, you should know that so it doesn't cause a problem.
Yeah.
But you making me go through a fucking thing for anything less than like $5, you're a fucking waste of space.
Yep. No, I agree.
They're just, people are so defensive. They think that we're trying to fuck them over. They think that it's, you know what I like in a commerce type situation, they think that every price is like an affront to their fucking personhood. And they're like, I shouldn't be paying for any of this. And you're like, none of this is free. We had to work to fucking bring this to the store.
Yeah.
And like somebody had to like hoe in their garden to fucking make beans so we could sell you chili that's pre-made and you just stick in the fucking microwave. And you're like pissed off because it's 10 cents more than you fucking said on a stupid sign.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot
Hey,
of,
people are
it has to be a
nuts.
substantial amount of money for me to go back. Like,
Yeah.
even $5, I'm like, do I have to get back in line? Go through this whole thing. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, just $5 fucking poorer.
I might put it back at a certain point because I really don't want to spend that amount on that thing because I think it's too much, but I won't necessarily like give the cashier a hard time or whatever. I did have a time just the other day where I was trying to buy some shirts at Kohl's or JC Penney or something. And I went over to this area and I tried on some shirts and they're a little bit higher end button-up shirts, and I was like, oh, they're a little too much. And then I looked down and there's a sign there that says, it says the brand. So I double checked that and it says buy one, get one half off. And I was like, that's perfect. I'll get two for sure now. And I was going to spend the money to do it. And then I get up to the register and they ring up at full price. And I'm like, oh, well, let me bring you over there. There's a sign over there and maybe we can make this work. I wasn't like I've done that. That's fine. If I can't get it at that price, it's fine. But like, let me show you why I thought it. And then I go over there and the sign is gone. And there's a fucking employee that I'm noticing around that area. Not exactly right there. I didn't watch her take it, but there's an employee with a fucking cart full of signs because she's pulling all this ad down. And I'm like,
shit.
What are the odds that sign was there all day? And then I grabbed the shirts from that. I think she saw me over there, realized that sign was wrong and was like, oh, I'll just grab the sign. And that way the next person doesn't get screwed and whatever. She wasn't like really thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't prove that I should be getting this at this particular price. And it was the difference between paying like $70 and like $120. And I was like, no, I'm not going to fucking do this. I'm sorry. Like my budget was like $100 for all of this. And then I walked around the store, the mall, and I couldn't find any shirts that I liked at all. So I went back and just bought one at full price. And it was like, I wasn't mad at anybody, but I could tell that the cashier was super nervous about it because she helped me on both transactions. And she knew I was like, she knew I could be like really pissed off about it.
That's I've been that person where I'm like a little on edge with like a customer because you're like, this person might just totally fucking blow up on me over this thing. So
it's hard to say because you're trying to
does it when they're just like, shit, well, the signs, you know what, forget it.
Or they're like, hey, I'm not mad at you, I'm just, this is frustrating. And you're like, I get it, it sucks, sometimes weird shit happens. The whole world is not here to like be perfect so that everything is like easygoing.
Well, and especially like working in retail for so long, there are times where like you're supposed to have all those signs pulled down before you open, right? Because the sale ended. And it's like you either miss one or you're just so behind because of short staffing or not having enough time, whatever. And so, you just didn't get to it till later. And then, things happen.
I think everybody should be have mandatory 6 months retail experience.
Like 6 months in retail and 6 months in like fast food or something. I think it's like you gotta
or I think 6 months in military or like a year in the military and then a year of like customer service
menial
experience, just
entry level
anything where
jobs.
you're dealing with people in the public, and that's everybody, literally, no matter how rich you are. If you're in high school, it should be part of the curriculum.
No, I agree. I think so. I think it's I feel like they try to do that in high school. Like when I was a senior, a requirement for graduation was you had to have so many hours of
Work experience.
no, not work experience, volunteer
Oh,
stuff. So it's
yeah.
like we had to do like community volunteer stuff. You had to log like 50 hours or something throughout the
Yeah,
course of
that's
your
cool.
senior year. And so you just had to like I coached a basketball team for the elementary
Hmm.
school. We did like a park cleanup project
Yeah.
for like a day. Just stuff like that. It was kind of cool. Like it was annoying. Community service, that's the word I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
You had to have like I think it was 50 hours if I remember correctly of community service. That was like a requirement to graduate. If you didn't get it done, you literally could not graduate. You could have
Yeah.
everything else done, and if you didn't log your hours, then you were fucked.
You know, the economic world is a world of service. It's a world of serving others for mutual benefit. That is how the economy works. And to not give people experience of that before they go into the world, I think is not preparing them at all. And I think that especially because some people are going to go into jobs where they just don't have any idea what it's like to like serve people. It's just a totally different, like they're an accountant, or well, accountants serve people. It's like there's no job where that's not going to be helpful. To be like, we need like apprenticeships and internships for younger people to get the experience before they start getting before they know what they want to do, because they're going to probably quit and all that stuff.
They could do other things too. Like I know in Japan, in the schools, like elementary schools and stuff like that, they don't have custodians. Like the children are the ones that clean up after them. Like that's like part of
Sure.
their education is they clean up. They clean
Yeah,
the
I've heard of
school and they
that.
clean up after themselves. And I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
fucking brilliant idea.
Yeah. I think if the kids do it, the parents, the teachers should do it too. They should clean
Yeah, it
something,
should be like a group thing
because
where they're
that's
like,
it. Like
okay,
real
hey,
life is like, other than the fact that some places have janitors, but I've never really worked in a place with janitors. It was all on us to like clean our own
yeah, oh
places.
yeah, yeah. This is I now where I work now, we actually have like cleanup
Yeah.
crew, but they fucking suck because they're not supervised. Like
Yeah.
some of my coworkers have gone into the office like after hours to pick something up, and then they're like, yeah, you go in and the janitors are just sitting around on the furniture, like eating the
Yeah.
snacks out of our like lobby and stuff, like not doing anything.
Yeah. It's
And
hard
like
to
so I
find
had
good
to
labor
yeah.
like that.
Well, if there's nobody telling them what to do, there's a decent chance that they're just gonna fuck off and like do the bare minimum. There's like times where I've had to request that somebody come empty our garbages because it wasn't done for like 4 days and they started overflowing. I went and bought a vacuum for the office to just vacuum myself like on a slow day because they don't do it. But yeah, most places I know like when we worked at GameStop and stuff years ago, you were responsible for basically doing everything, cleaning everything yourself. So what's the next one on your list? That one really
Yeah,
evolved.
got us. Next one is another shopping one, which is
Oh.
people who stop in the middle, and this could be in any area, but you know how like you have a little hallway in a grocery line, or not a line, but a grocery aisle. So you're in an aisle, and then
Mhm.
you're walking behind somebody with a cart or just walking, and then they just stop. Like in the middle of the aisle where you cannot get around them. It's like it doesn't matter that there's people behind them. It doesn't, this is their aisle and they're gonna fucking stop, and you're just like standing behind them, like now I have to fucking interrupt you and go, hey, excuse me, I'm trying to get by here, or blah blah blah.
Oh,
But
you mean like people who just like stop? They don't like try to. Because like whenever I
exactly,
stop in the
or
aisle,
they just
I try
leave
to
their
pull to
cart.
the side as far as I can,
Yeah,
and then like look
like
at the
a
thing.
car, like we, there's a
Yeah,
lane there, like maybe there's other human beings in the world who want to get by you.
I try to get in the habit of looking behind me too, just so like
Yeah,
because you don't want to
because
stop
you have more
suddenly and then
time.
have somebody fucking run into you because they're
Yeah.
not paying attention. So it's like
Yeah.
I usually will like do a quick check and then I just try to cram my cart against the shelves as close as I can while I'm looking. It helps too that I go to the same grocery store like every week, so I kind of know
You
where
have a
everything
routine.
is.
Yeah,
So I
I do
have like a
too.
fucking layout that I just
Oh
like a
yeah.
little circuit that I run. I grab everything I need and then I
Yeah,
check out. So it's
I
pretty
do
quick.
too. Do you do
I,
self checkout?
I do if I don't have a ton of stuff. Like if I have like maybe 10 or 15 items, I'll do it. But if I have like a basket full of stuff, I don't because I don't want to hold up every because it's kind of like a quick checkout, you know.
Oh really?
Well, the Albertsons I go to,
Oh yeah.
the self checkout, there's six of them, and it's literally just like a little table with the register. So you ring stuff through and put it on the bag on the table, and it weighs everything.
Hmm.
I've been to some stores where like it's like a nice big like you can actually put everything up on a belt and then run it through like you
Hmm.
um which is cool. There's like there was like a Walmart that I went to one time that had that, and then so I did a self checkout for like a whole basket full of stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like those ones at the Albertsons, that you can tell they're kind of designed for people who just have a few items that want to just check out real quick and leave. So if I have a basket full of stuff, I'll just go to the normal line.
Yeah, I'll do self checkout no matter how much stuff I have. But I never
really?
like I'm single and I go to
Yeah.
the store like 3 times a week. So because I buy a lot of fresh vegetables for salads,
Mhm.
and so I can't just buy like a week's worth. It'll go bad. So I have to
Yeah.
go to the store at least 2 times a week typically. And so I will go to the self checkout, but I am so fucking efficient. Like I could have 30 things and I'm going to be out there quicker than like a lot of other people who are like super slow at it. Because I
Mhm.
do the same thing every time. I know how to pack them. And I don't have too much stuff. Maybe like 2 bags full is pretty typical for when I go.
Yeah.
But I'm super quick about it. But I'm sure some people look at my kind of semi-full half cart. You know, I use those little half carts.
Mhm.
And
I
people
love
probably,
those. Whoever came up
oh,
with that idea, the
perfect.
two-tiered like half thing, because
Yep.
you're like, oh, it's easy to navigate around the
Yep.
store with, and doesn't
Yeah.
take up that much
You
space.
don't need these big fucking carts that you
No.
can't even reach down into and get
Mhm.
into. Next one is people who don't fully pull into the center lane. So they're trying to take a left off the
Mhm.
main road and they just kind of slowly get in the center lane and leave like their back tires out. And you're
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
you're in the fucking road still. Or people who don't even get in the center lane.
Yeah,
You ever
it
had
kills
that
me.
where they just stop and blink and you're like, there's a fucking entire lane dedicated to getting you off the fucking out of the way and you didn't
Yeah.
even use it.
Especially if it's like a really busy road like Coburg Road in
Yeah.
Eugene. It's like if you don't pull
Yeah.
into the center lane on certain
You're
stretches of
ruining
it,
it.
you're literally going to keep us all here for 20 minutes because
Yeah,
there's
you're never going to
never
get
not
over there.
traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I think people are just scared too, and it's awkward, and that you're sort of pulling out into the middle of the street and then just hanging out, waiting for a chance to finish getting over. But so like I feel naked and exposed when I do it, but I still do it because I know that I don't want to hold everybody else up, and also I'm never gonna have a chance to get all the way over if I just sit there and
Yeah,
wait.
I mean,
So
at
you
some
just
point you
do
just
it,
have to
but it's
use the
weird.
center lane. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know what the legal like specifications are for that lane. I don't know if it's like you're supposed to always be using it, but I use it fucking constantly. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If I'm taking a left and over 2 lanes of road and the far lane I can't get into, I'll just take a left, get in that center lane and wait and get into the right lane. Like
Mhm.
I'm not, I don't know. Like to me, it's like courteous to be somewhat creative out on the road and try to get out of people's way. Like
Well, yeah.
it's a shared road. It's not, I don't like getting in people's way. But yeah, that one really annoys me. Or like a truck that is way too fucking big and it can't see itself. So it just sort of is like half in and half out of lanes.
Mhm.
Like get the fuck out of
I
here.
also hate
You
when
shit.
you're like in a lane to turn, right, where there's 2 lanes to go left or right, and then you pull up and then the guy next to you pulls up and it's a huge truck and
Yeah,
then
and
you
they're
suddenly
right in your
can't
way.
fucking see
Yeah,
anything and
I
you're like, cool, well, I
fucking
guess
hate
I'm just
that.
gonna wait here.
Yeah, I guess I can't go at all, even though I'm first up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, though sometimes big trucks or like even like a van or a bus or like anything that's like way too big, it's like, can you just get your own fucking lane,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here. Like you're just why are small cars and big cars in the same fucking area?
So I would never want to be a semi truck driver because I just be like, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just gonna
Oh yeah.
constantly be in the way. I can't go as fast as you. I'm massive, so I take
Yeah,
up way too much space.
and then they almost hit you when they turn into the lane next to
Oh
you and
yeah,
you're
there's been
like
numerous times where I've had to like
they're
try to
like yeah,
reverse,
and you
but
try
then
to go
there's
back.
somebody behind you, so
Yeah,
you're
and you
like, I
can't.
can't really go anywhere. Hopefully, this guy can
Yeah.
complete his turn without smashing into me.
Fucking idiots. Okay, here's another one. People who slow to a near stop to pull off a major road like Coburg, and they're going to take a right, and and there's plenty of time and space and they don't need to like go super slow, and they essentially come to a stop
To turn
in the
into like a
lane
parking lot or
to
something.
turn into a parking lot or just
Yeah.
another road, like a
Mhm.
side road. And they're so shitty at driving. They're so afraid of turning. They think they're going to flip their car. But like anything, I think under 35 miles an hour, like anything 35 miles an hour and over, like you need to get the fuck off the road. Like these people are driving right behind you.
Yeah.
You need, like, you don't have to go, you don't have to stay at 35, you slow down, but you should, maybe half speed, and then you slow down, you turn, and then you speed up again. Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. You don't fucking like survey your environment at 0 miles an hour so you can make this perfect fucking safe
Yeah,
turn.
honestly what I do is like when I know my turn's coming up, I usually just let off the gas like within a block. So I'm kind of coasting into my turn. And then
Sure.
the only time I brake is when I'm
Gradual.
actually completing the turn if I'm still going a little too quick.
Yep.
But it's like,
Yep.
I mean, then that typically only works if you sort of know that your turn's coming up. If you're going somewhere you've never been, maybe it's a little trickier. But I mean, I drive to the same places. So it's just like when like because I come off the highway and then I have to immediately make a right onto the road where my house is. And so there's people behind me that are like still wanting to go like 55. And
Yeah.
I have to fucking slow way down to make this turn. So like once I pass a certain sign on my way home, I just let off my gas and I coast
Yep.
for maybe a block or so that like by the time my turn comes up, I'm down to about like 40, and then I just
Yeah.
brake a little bit to complete the turn. And then
Yeah.
these people behind me don't have to fucking slow
And
down so much.
is your blinker on, which sort of
Yeah.
indicates maybe why you're slowing
No,
down?
once I hit the point where I'm coasting is when I turn my blinker on because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you can see the street coming up. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to be turning. That's why I'm slowing down. I'm not doing it to be a dick. But yeah, I try not to use my brakes a whole lot. Like,
Yeah.
there's some people who like just drive really fast and then they just
And then
brake
always braking,
everywhere. Where
yeah.
I am like somebody who like when I know something's coming up, I just like to let off the gas and coast a little bit because then you kind of ease down a little,
Yeah.
and then turn or do whatever you're gonna do. Or even when I see like a red light coming up, instead of like speeding up to the light and then slamming on my brakes, I just let off the gas. And then worst case scenario, you just have to step on the gas again if it changes green before you get to it. But also it saves on your brakes. Don't have to get your brakes replaced so much.
Yeah, no doubt. Another one is just people who don't stay in their lane. But that's kind of like the same kind of issue as what we're talking about, which is just
Like
people
how
not
these are
really
almost
paying
all driving
attention.
related because driving fucking sucks.
Yeah. Well, and there's just so many people who just are not paying attention to anything else in the world. It's
Mhm.
just their road. They're going to do it and fuck everybody else. They act like everyone's in their way.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, like, fuck you.
There's a weird
know.
aggression in people when they're driving
Yeah.
too. Like it's the only time that I'll call somebody a motherfucker or a piece of shit. And it's not like me yelling it. I'm just like somebody cuts me off. I'm like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And I just say it like that to myself and then I just keep driving.
We
Like,
we
I don't really
attribute
do anything.
malice to everything. I
Yeah.
think there's a heightened amount of stress because of how fast you're going, how dangerous driving really is.
Mhm.
And you feel that when you're driving, and a lot of times you're not feeling it and you're just like calm, and then all of a sudden something happens because everything happens fast when you're going
Mhm.
fast. So it surprises you, you get defensive, and then you attribute malice to the other person, even though if you were in their position, you'd probably be doing the same thing. Like you maybe didn't notice, or you were just driving and they're just passing you. It's like not a big deal.
I do have
But
Vanessa
it
because
just
she has
feels
like the
like,
worst.
yeah,
She has the worst road rage I've ever seen somebody have. And she'll like complain about somebody doing something. I'm like, you would have literally done that same thing.
yeah,
And
they're
she just
almost never
glares at
doing
me
it
and
to you. Yeah.
yeah. They're just trying to get to where they're going. And sometimes
Yeah.
people fuck up when they do that. But
Nobody ever gives anybody the benefit of the doubt.
I try to be a really defensive driver because I'm driving a fucking weapon, basically. And so I don't want to die in a car accident. It's a stupid way to die. It's very avoidable if everybody just takes a couple extra seconds to make smart decisions.
Let's see here. These next ones are like store ones. Let's do this one. So let's say you're working somewhere, or just like your job at a clinic, when you have to interact with like new patients or new people or parents or whatever, and they ask you a question and then you go to explain and then they immediately interrupt you and you're like, what the fuck just happened here? Do you want me to explain it or not? Like, I know the answer to your question and I'm about to get into it here, and you just interrupt me because you don't know how to fucking shut up. That's a douchebaggy thing to do.
I have that happen a lot right now because they're doing some construction near our clinic, and so people have to go to get into our clinic, they have to go a specific way because of the construction, and people just keep going in the old way. So I'll go down to the clinic and let them in. I have to go down the stairs to the first floor, let them in. And then usually when we're walking up, I try to explain to them like, hey, next time you come in, you're going to need to, park across the street and then come in this other way because of the construction. And then I can't tell you how many times I've been like explaining that to somebody, and then they like, you can just tell they're not listening, or they'll just be like, okay, I'll do that next time. Like before I even finish explaining like where they need to go. And then guess what? Next time they come in for an appointment, they call me and
Yeah.
they're like, hey, I need to get in again. I'm down
How do I
here.
do this?
And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I told you last time that you have to go in this other way because of this exact fucking reason.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Fucking assholes. Or I'm like, so that thing you need is right up, and then they're like, oh, I'll fucking go find it. Yeah. Fucking assholes. Anyway, let's get to another one here. People who buy something and then go back and try to buy another thing, and you're like, fuck you, like plan ahead. That's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of annoying when like they're at the register and you're ringing things up and then they like leave and go buy more stuff or something.
Oh
And
yeah,
you're
I'm
like,
like, no, you get it.
it's another one of those like, just hurry up, like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Or like when there's two people together and they pay separately. Like, can you eat a dick? You're together. Make this quick. Pay each other back. There's a thing called Cash App. Use Cash App to pay the other person back. You can look at the receipt or like know generally what it is, or just like pay for your friend. But like there's like four of you and you're all separately paying. Fuck off.
Yeah. Wait, like separate transactions or
Yeah.
trying to pay? Yeah. I don't mind if they would do it like, hey, can you put $20 on my card and then the rest on this person's card? You know, we're like in
It's
the
faster.
same transaction.
I'd
Yeah,
rather
like,
not,
okay,
but
so I'll
that's
charge
faster
20
at
bucks
least.
and then
Yeah.
What used to kill me was you know, like a GameStop as an example, like that you had to, and this is like a inside baseball thing kind of for people who've worked in retail, where they track this stuff with the fucking UPTs, where you have to have a goal of so many units per transaction.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you're trying to make sure that each transaction you're doing has maybe
An
2 or 3 items
item
in
on it. Yeah.
And then somebody like buys 2 things and then they suddenly realize, oh, I need to buy this other thing. And then they buy another
like
thing with only one item. That's usually like a cheap thing. So it like fucking trashed your UPTs and your dollars per transaction. And which is generally speaking, not like nobody's going to care about that. But as like a retail employee,
you're paying attention to it. Yeah.
Kill you. So I think about that when I'm buying stuff, like especially if I go to a store like a GameStop where I know that they gauge employees' performance based on those measures. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm getting everything. And then sometimes I'll buy like one extra stupid thing at the front just because I know it's like an extra UPT for them. Anyway, GameStop really broke my brain.
I haven't been to a GameStop in a while. I'm probably not going to go back for any of the new games that are coming out. I think I'm just going to get digital versions.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just buy digital stuff. But anytime I'm like in a mall,
yeah, like I do stop by them. I go to every GameStop when I'm anywhere near one in a mall. I like to just go in and like see what's up. I don't know.
Yeah. But like any mall store, like when I ran the Spencer's in Valley River Mall for a little while, and they had the same measures. Like you measured your UPTs and you. So I think a lot of like small mall chain stores have those measures. So it's like whenever I'm in a mall shopping, I try to.
Well, it's an indicator of suggestive selling, because if everybody goes through with one item, then it means nobody's ever asking them to buy more.
Yeah.
And if they're asking them to buy more, then it's always going to be at least 2 items on the transaction. Not always, but you know, there's more likelihood that it'll go up. Let's see here.
We should do an episode on retail at some points. We both have existed in that realm for so long. Well, luckily I don't anymore. But
we should get somebody else who's been in retail too, like a friend or something, and we can come up with some fun like retail stories or something. People who leave a weirdly large gap in between them and the person in front of them at a stoplight.
Oh God.
You know what I'm talking about? These people, I don't know what's going on in their fucking dumb brains. I can see giving yourself some space. Like if the person needs to back up a little bit, or if you need to like emergency get the fuck out, which never has ever happened to anybody ever. Maybe once, you know, but people who leave literally like 2 car lengths, and you're like, you know, what you're doing is just making it so that the people behind you can't fucking like get into this lane now, because maybe they're stuck in the intersection, or they're not going to make the light now, or it's just pushing all of traffic back farther because you need so much space in front of you. I don't know who told these people that they need that much space. Like I can see about a half a car length. Half of your car's length is like noticeable, but like whatever. You gotta have the right to kind of space out your car. But if you do a full car length, I don't know where you think you're going or what you think you're accomplishing by doing that. If anything, you're probably going to make it take longer because a lot of lights, well, I guess the lights only really read the weight of the car that's right at the front. But that shit just weirds me out and trips me up. I don't know why they're doing that.
I have another one that sort of piggybacks off that is when somebody stops and then they keep inching up.
Yep.
Like they'll stop at a light
Exactly.
or they stop behind the person in front of them. And then like 5 seconds later, they just keep slowly
Yep.
inching up.
And then you
you're like,
have to keep going forward
you
and you're
have to
like,
do
what
it.
game am I playing here?
Yeah, well, and then you have to do it. Otherwise, you look like the asshole because then suddenly,
You
gradually
have a
over
bigger
time, there's a
space.
big
Yeah.
gap between you. And
Yeah.
you're like, dude, why did you not just stop up there and
Yeah.
then stop instead
Yeah.
of stopping?
Or
and then,
people who try
and-
not to stop at lights. And so they just go really slow for like a quarter mile because the light's red. And they
yeah,
just don't want to stop at that fucking red light. So they just go super slow, forcing you to go super slow when they could just pull up, stop, and
yeah,
fucking be
just
done.
wait.
Yeah.
But I feel like I think there's like this lizard part of our brain that always like it's trying to trick itself into thinking that it's still moving forward. So they're like, oh, if I stop and then I kind of just gradually keep inching up,
Yeah.
at least I'm still moving
I'm
forward.
making progress. Yeah. It's kind of like when like somebody passes you like aggressively, and then 2 seconds later you're like right next to them at the
Yeah,
light,
at the
and you're
stop
like,
sign. I
what did you
fucking love
accomplish with
that.
your fucking fast pacedness?
I just want to look over at him and be like, you did it, man. You
Yeah,
fucking
I
beat
know
me
you.
here.
What an accomplishment. Stars for you. What's funny is that every once in a while I get a little excited on the road and I drive a little fast and I kind of do the same kind of stuff and I end up
Mhm.
passing people a little more than I would normally would. For some reason I just get like excited and I'm like, yeah, my car fucking drives. And then I'll do the same thing and I end up just I have to like remember that like I get mad at people for doing that, and then I can't be like mad that like the people are kind of mad around me or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, I know why I did it. It's because I just want to drive fast. It has nothing to do with logic. It's just fun to drive fast sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't do it very often. But every once in a while, I'm just like, I push it a little bit and I'm like,
Yeah, you just cut a little foot loose, you know? Have
yeah,
some fun.
it's kind of fun.
I don't do it too often, but yeah, every once in a while I kind of do that. It's usually when I'm on like, the like the I-5 between
Yeah,
like Harrisburg
you
and
can go pretty fast there.
Eugene, because it's just a big straightaway and it's like 65, fucking everybody just 90 on it basically.
Yeah.
That's like the only time I'll usually drive fast and it's usually like if I'm stuck behind a semi that's like barely doing 60, I'm like, okay, and then I'll just rip around him and like speed way up and then cruise down for a while. But
you know where I don't think it's acceptable to go fast? Fucking parking lots.
no,
People who
oh
drive
my
around in parking lots fast or just sort of oblivious or like pull out of their parking spot too fast.
or they cut through
that
instead of
trips me out.
following the lines,
Yeah.
they cut through a bunch of empty spaces. I can't tell you how many times I'm like driving down a lane, like an aisle in a parking lot, and then
Yeah, and then
somebody
just-
just comes through a
and you're
bunch of
like,
empty spaces.
Where the fuck are you coming from? Yeah. I don't
You're
mind
like,
if they're
"What are
going
you doing?"
fairly slow, but at any speed, like this is where people walk around. This is essentially a pedestrian zone, and you're just driving like it's a fucking, a fucking regular road.
Yeah.
It trips me out. I think it pisses a lot of people off too when they like are walking around with their kids and then their car just zooms by and they're
That's
like,
what happens when there's like no rules suddenly. Like when you're on a road,
Yeah.
there's defined lines that you're supposed to stay in between
Yeah.
at a certain speed. As soon as you pull into a parking lot, there's just parking spaces. And
Yeah.
then
and kind of free for all.
and then there's like no like I don't even most of them don't have like, oh, you need to go 5 miles an hour. It's like you just pull in and
Yeah.
park somewhere and you just get there anyway.
Well, and
you
what's
fucking feel
interesting
like
is
it.
a lot of those places are private property and those parking lots are not actually governed by the normal police. And
Mhm.
so, because it's not a public road. And so there are different rules for inside parking lots. But if anything, it should be stricter because it's
Yeah.
a more private place. Like the person who owns it could just put fucking speed bumps everywhere or whatever.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's like the only thing you could do is just put speed bumps down on every aisle and it just forces fucking people to slow way down. But no, parking lots are fucking terrifying. I hate and some parking lots are designed horribly, usually like at outlet or strip malls or something where
Yeah.
it's just there's like no rhyme or
small.
reason and it's so
Yeah.
busy and it's like really stressful just trying to use. Yeah, not fun.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of like islands to like bump your car into on
Or
accident.
just trying to find a place to park sometimes, like in downtown Eugene. It
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
sucks. There's like nowhere to
try
park. And then
Portland.
probably in Portland. Yeah, it is. Oh my God. They just like didn't think about parking at all as they were designing it. Probably because these towns were being
Yeah.
first built, during fucking the 1800s when everybody was just on horses And then we just kept building on top of that. Now everybody's got a
Well,
fucking
and Oregon has every other person has a big fucking truck or SUV.
Yep.
There's no fucking room for these people.
Also, those big trucks, what's the point? I love the really large ones that have like really tiny beds on them. And you're like, what are you doing
what
with
is
this
the fucking point?
ridiculous thing?
I think that most people who own trucks never use them in the capacity of a truck.
No.
Other than a few times a year, maybe once a month or something like
When
that.
they go
Like
camping during the summer, that's it.
yeah, it's just a fucking fun thing to own, and they can say they have a truck and all this stuff. And but I don't know. In Oregon, there's more excuse because there a lot of people do live more rurally or they have like outdoor gear or whatever. But half the time there's nothing in your truck. You're just taking up tons of extra space.
Yeah, that's why when I bought
these
my truck, I
tiny
got like
roads.
I got a Ranger, which is like a smaller truck. Cause I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have a family outside of my wife. So it's like I don't need like a vehicle to haul kids in. So I was like, but I just want a truck so that in the off chance that I need to carry something around or haul something, I have the means to do it, which I've done numerous times since I've had it. But it's like a small truck. It's like the size of an SUV basically. So
Yeah.
it's very easy to drive, doesn't take up a lot of space, and
Oh,
you know,
here's another
has
one.
utility.
People who either get too close to the line when they park or park over the line or take up two
Oh,
spaces.
yeah.
Those people should be towed immediately. I fucking hate those people,
A
especially if
lot
you
of
go
times,
over the line. And now that other parking spot is completely useless because there's not enough room to park there, or you have to park so close that you can't open your door.
I love those people who drive like the really nice like sports car, like the Porsche or whatever, and they
Just
sort of
park
park
like
in the
that.
middle of two spaces
Yeah,
to
because they
like make
don't
sure that
want. Oh,
yeah, they
I
don't want
want.
anybody near them.
Oh, your car should be beaten to death.
It's like you're not that fucking important. Sure, you've got a lot of money, but guess what? You're gonna take a risk every time you fucking drive into public with that thing. So you don't get to just take up two spaces because you have a nice car. Fuck you.
But they do.
But they
Because
do it
no one,
anyway.
if we're all fucking pussies and won't bash their fucking windshield in like we should.
Doesn't it make you just want to walk around with like a little switchblade knife just to stick into somebody's tire when they find them
I
do
do
something
want
that
to do
just
that
just
all the time.
done?
Oh
Fuck
man,
you.
all the time.
And just
I
walk
think there
away.
needs to be like like a Batman, like a vigilante who just deals with these types of things. Who just deals with the shitty fucking assholes, little petty things, and they just beat the shit out of them and tell them why. Like if like a superhero who like if your car you have too much of a gap in between you and the person in front of you, he just pushes your car forward like 20 feet and now you're like in a decent spot.
This is why and I've fantasized about this in situations like this where I'm like, this is why people can't have telekinesis, because if you were in the situation, you'd be like, I would just crush that fucking tire with my mind, because you could stand away from it. Nobody would know it was you. You just focus on it. Just,
you know,
just crush
if
it
you ever
down or
want to
blow the
like
tire off.
easily break somebody's window is you just get a little piece of porcelain and porcelain will break glass. So you just throw it at their fucking window.
Oh, really? Shit.
Yeah. Porcelain. I think that's right. Or ceramic. It's one of the two. I don't know the difference between porcelain and ceramic. I think they're very similar substances, but one of those two, I think it's whatever your toilet's made out of, which I think is porcelain,
yeah.
right? I've heard that you can use that to break glass very easily.
Just carry like isn't like diamonds cut glass too? So right,
diamonds
so
are forever.
Just take a diamond and just cut most of a circle out of their windshield, but not all the way. And then that way, when they're driving really fast,
just
the
falls
force
out.
of the wind will just blow the
windshield
into their
well, you don't want to do the windshield. The windshield has that spider glass, so it doesn't shatter. Or it doesn't like actually fall into you, but the side windows usually will. Yeah. Another thing you can do is just one of those little glass breakers, like emergency glass that has a little spring in it, and it'll just poke out if you push on a piece of glass.
Oh shit! No, I've never seen one of those.
Yeah, I have one in my car just in case like I fall in a river. Yeah, and I have to break my glass, and you just press it up against it, and it pushes a spring back, and then it springs it forward, and it has just a point on it, and it'll break glass.
Oh shit!
I would do it if I wasn't, if I didn't have a conscience, but I really don't like violence and stuff like that. But like this, I think those people there's something that like should be done about it.
Whenever I see something happen like that, I just, like I said, I like to avoid confrontation, and I just hope in the back of my mind that fucking karma exists or something. Like, I just hope something fucking ruins your day that I don't have to cause. Like, I hope it just something comes around for you.
It's so frustrating. I don't know. I'm like a pretty independent, freedom loving person, but like we're all interacting with each other. We all affect each other. Like,
You're only as free
stop
as
being
our
a fucking
society
asshole.
allows you to be, right? You're not the
Yeah.
only one in the
When you're
world.
making me less free by taking up that extra space and taking up that extra and taking too long to do this stuff, you're taking away from um my time and life and options for
Yep.
just because you can, like, not because it's helpful to you. It doesn't make it life that much better for you to be that selfish. Okay, let's do last one here. I probably have a couple more on the list, but the last one is going to be my all-time pet peeve working in retail or working, somewhere, which is people who make you stay after close. I had one.
Oh
I had one the other day.
yeah.
We were closing. I was literally doing closing activities. We're counting down money. We have one till left because this one person is in the store, and the lights are literally off. Somebody went up, turned all the fucking lights off. This lady's in the store, and she's like, "I want to buy a TV." Fuck you. You had all day to buy a goddamn TV. So what I do is I figure out which TV she wants, and then I go try to find it, right? And I'm like, oh, the odds are we have a new one, right? It's most likely we have a new one. So I go all the way upstairs. We don't have a new one. So I'm like, okay, we can sell you the display. So I run all the way back down. We end up selling her the display. She ends up just walking out of the store with this fucking 55-inch TV in her hands. And it took us like 15 minutes to get the whole thing done. And it's like, we would be done by now. I'd be able to go home. You're taking up my time. You had all day to fucking figure this stupid shit out. I've had people, I had a lady once who was looking at furniture, but she was germaphobe. So like I couldn't hand her things like a pamphlet or anything. And she kept on opening doors and stuff in the furniture. And we'd already been closed for like 5 minutes when I noticed her over there. And then she keeps asking me questions about like furniture. It's like, you don't buy furniture at 9 o'clock when the store is closed. You don't ask all your questions. And then she goes and uses the bathroom, comes back out, keeps looking
Oh
at it. It
my
was like
God.
20 minutes later. And I literally had to tell her, we're closing. Are you going to buy something? Because if you're not buying something, like you're just window shopping, you're not a customer. You just fucking are here to waste my time. And so I couldn't even get started for like 20 minutes on my
Oh
closing
man.
activities. It makes me want to literally like kick people out forever and trespass them. You are super rude. You're taking up my personal time now.
Well, and the thing is, there's no excuse for people to do that anymore because this is literally something I do when I'm, if it's kind of later in the evening, I just fucking Google real fast. Like,
Yeah, when are they open? Yeah.
fucking when is the store? What are their hours today?
Yeah.
Because this is like a rule that I have for any like restaurant or food place. I don't go if it's within an hour of them closing.
Oh, really?
Because
An
when I
hour.
worked in
Mine's about a
fast
half
food,
an hour on food.
oh, see, for me, it's like when I remember in high school, I worked at an A&W, and you start doing your closing stuff
Yeah,
about
an
an hour
hour.
before.
Yeah,
Like if
that's
you
true.
don't start cleaning stuff by then, you're fucking there all night. So
That's true.
and
The
like,
way I think about it, about the half an hour thing, is you can make a burger and clean up after that burger in about a half an hour, right? It takes about 15 minutes to make a burger, and it takes about 15 minutes to clean up a burger. But you're right in that they're not just cleaning up what they're doing for you, they're cleaning up the whole day's worth of shit. But at the same time, you can still kind of clean up around.
And that's not like, I'm not saying
stuff.
that people need to live by that. That's just my personal thing.
Yeah,
Like
it's
if I
good.
see
It's a
that
good rule.
and
I like that.
especially for a sit down restaurant, I'm like, don't
Oh,
go an
yeah,
hour
I'm
before
not
they
sitting
close when
down.
you're
Yeah.
gonna sit and then order and then eat.
And you always
Like,
take longer
they're
than
trying
an
to get
hour.
home, man.
Yeah.
People-
It's
and
tough.
so,
It's
yeah.
tough, especially restaurants, because restaurants are a place where people relax and they get even more relaxed as they eat. But like like a GameStop, and you got to fucking come and like do your whole trade in at close.
Yeah.
Like, no. How's about fuck you? You
Just come
asshole.
first thing tomorrow morning when we open, and we'll take care of this.
I think of it like, this is my home. You're a guest, and I've told you this is when you have to leave. And if that's what the open to close is, this is when you're allowed to come in, and this is when you have to leave. And if anything keeps you from staying over that time of leaving, it's like if you were at my home and I told you, hey, I got to go to bed. Like, the party's over. I got to have you go home. And then you just sit on my couch and drink more, drink or whatever. Like, now you're putting me in a position where I have to be the asshole to you, even though you're being the asshole.
And that's what's tough, is when you have to be the person who's like, hey, we're actually closed right now. Like,
Mm,
what can I help you with? Or like, we have to ask you to
yeah.
leave.
Well, and
Which,
like I'm giving you little hints by like coming up to you every 5 minutes saying, "Hey, are you still finding everything all right?"
yeah, we used to do that at like at Barnes and Noble. It was like 15 minutes till close. Well, the nice thing about Barnes and Noble, I don't know if the store you work at, for the company you work for, because you don't work for Barnes and Noble, to just throwing that out there.
I don't.
Anyway, um, but we used to make announcements
We
over
do
the
now.
PA. We
Yeah.
would be like, I think we did one at like 15 till and then 5 till.
Yeah.
And then it was like at the 15 till and the 5 till, you just be like, hey, we're closing in
Yep.
15
I love it.
minutes.
Of course,
We're
it's
we're asking that
true.
you
It's not.
please.
It's not an asshole move to tell people that we're closing. It is true. We're not staying open. And at a
Yeah. And so
certain
we would
point,
just,
you're trespassing because we're closed.
yeah. And so it was just a nice way for us to be like, hey, we're closing in 15 minutes. During this time, we ask that you gather the things that you intend to purchase and please make your way up to the register so that we can get you rung out in a timely manner, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it worked fucking great. Every once in a while, you'd have that one person who's like, "Oh, I'm trying to," and it's like, "We gave you
Oh,
two
I want to
announcements,
kill all of
motherfucker.
those
Let's
people.
go."
Yeah. Or somebody walks in the door as you're about to close the door and they're like, "Hey, you still open? I'm already in here. Fuck you." Fucking hate that.
And then you have to be like, "Nope, sorry, we're actually closing right now. I'm literally shutting the door." Oh, really?
And
It's
they're
just
like,
one
"But,
quick thing.
but
I just need
you
to
only
find
had 12
King James version of
hours."
your Bibles. Where's your Bible
Yeah.
section at? It's like,
We
oh my god.
oh, fucking bitch. We don't have Bibles. It's like we were open from what, 9 to 9, and you couldn't figure out a way to get in here
In
between
that
that
12-hour
time.
window.
Yeah, this huge all day window every day. We're open every day of the fucking week, and you couldn't fucking plan around that. You have to come right now because you just got off work. Or like a lot of times, like in any retail place, you'll have like a rush right at the end because people know you're about to close. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, I better get in there. They're gonna close." Like, how's about you don't fucking get in there and you leave us the fuck alone
Yeah.
because
Just
we're trying to go
come the
home.
next day.
Yeah.
It's all about fucking your own personal planning. It's like, oh, if you know that you work from 12 to 8 and this place that you need to go to buy something closes at 9, then guess what? Go before you fucking go to work.
Yeah.
Unless you're buying
Or go on your
perishable
lunch
items.
or go
Or
on
go on your
Amazon.
lunch. Yeah.
Or in
Amazon.
most grocery stores, like a lot of big grocery stores are open till like 11. Like there's
Yeah.
plenty of time to go there, plan ahead. Like fucking, it's so rude. I fucking hate it. It makes me like literally like that's the only time I get bad customer service. I literally don't think they deserve it. I don't think that those people, if you're like, "Hey, I know what I want. I'm in a hurry. I'll go grab it and I'm jumping on the register." I
Mhm.
got you, dog. Like I'm fine
Yeah.
with that. I'll do that. I love that. That's fine. I get that. Like this is a negotiation, but the people who just like, "I'm just a person in the world and I'm going to take my time." Anybody who's just like super duper slow when they don't like when it affects other people.
Mhm.
Like it's not that big of a deal, but as you're getting closer to close and you're like, "This lady has been in here for 2 hours. Her cart is full of shit and she's still looking at stuff. What are you doing today?"
Well, and some people I don't think realize too that you can I've worked for places in retail and in fast food where you could get in trouble if you were there for too long. Like you would have to explain to your manager, like,
It's payroll.
"Oh, I saw that you
Costs
guys
money.
didn't get out until 10:15 and we closed at 9. Like, why were you here that long? That's like extra payroll that got wasted because you guys were here so late."
But
And you
they
get to
also will be the same
explain.
managers who tell you that you can't tell customers to leave
Yeah.
and you can't tell them you're closing. But that's stupid. We are closing. Why would I not? It doesn't mean I have to tell you to rush. I'm just telling you a weird little fact that I happen to think is important. It just happens to be that we're fucking closing. So yeah, get the fuck out of here. But the place I work in now does announcements, and that's
Yeah.
great. It helps. It absolutely helps. And we're friendly, and we're like, "Hey, we're open from this time to this time tomorrow. Come back by." But like, yeah, ugh, people are so entitled. It's fucking annoying.
Well, and that's our own society's fault for that, right? Because
Yeah, the
every
customer's
every
always right.
establishment
You can go
says that the
somewhere
customer's
else.
always right.
Yeah.
And then they know that like at your establishment, like you get in trouble if they complain enough about
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
the whole idea is that you're supposed to be providing amazing customer service to them because
Yeah.
that's how we
Even if they're
things.
really
Even if they're
demanding,
fucking
if they're not
asshole.
a good
Yeah.
person, even if they got some political fucking thing they want to tell you,
Because they're like, I
just have
want
to
to talk to your
listen to it.
manager, and they
Yeah.
know that that manager is going to come out and then apologize to the customer for whatever
Yeah.
grievance that they have. And
Oh, and
then
they'll get their way, or they'll get a gift card or
yeah, or
whatever.
they'll give them a
Yeah.
discount. Oh,
Because they don't want to
let's
be on
discount you this.
fucking the news or the social media about how they gave this. Because the negative comment will be always one-sided, and they won't tell about how they were an asshole first.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. I think that if you run a corporation, you should have to work in it. I think if you are the owner or the CEO, you should have to be on a register like once a month and work
Yeah.
with real people and see how it fucking really is. And you should, put on normal clothes, go work on a register. You should work in the stores at
No, I
least
agree.
once in a while, like
Especially
learn
because
what it's like.
some of those people that are in those like CEO or high level positions, they probably did work in a store at one point, but
Yeah,
it was like
10,
20
20
fucking
years
5 years
ago. Yeah,
ago where things were
they're
completely
completely
different.
disconnected.
Yeah, so they have no idea what's going on
Yeah.
anymore.
I
They're
think
just
that's
making
the
decisions.
problem, is the corporate disconnect between the people making the bigger decisions about how you should act and the actual down in the dirt fucking, employees who get paid way less and who do all the work.
Mhm.
No one who does, if you don't work in a store in retail, you don't make the company money.
No.
That's not how it
Yeah.
works. You spend the company money and you make decisions that should increase profitability, but you don't make the company any money unless you're investing or something, like making investment decisions.
Mhm.
But like the people who make the money are the people in the store, and they should be respected as the hard workers, as if they are hard workers, and they should be held to very high standards as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I feel bad because in the position I'm in now, working in the clinic that I work in, is like I recognize that I'm support staff. Like, I'm also not making money for like
Not compared to
because in
the
the
people
health
above you.
industry, the people making money are the doctors, the ones
Yeah.
performing a service that then is billed to an insurance that pays you. Like
Yep.
that's where the money's coming from. And so when you're support staff, like I'm an administrative specialist, it's like I support them. Like I schedule their appointments, I contact their patients,
Yep.
I order supplies. I do all these things to help them complete their jobs. But at the end of the day, like I'm
Yeah.
not actually bringing money in. I'm
That's
just
true.
costing them money by providing these other benefits. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a weird position
Well,
to
and
be
there's
in.
enough money in that system to allow for a support agent. Whereas
Mhm.
back in the day, it would just be the doctor doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But now there's enough money in the system that they can pay for somebody to support it.
But it's like the first time I've had a
Yeah.
job where I'm not in a place where I'm specifically making money. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
help make money because if I wasn't contacting and scheduling these things, then people
Yeah.
would have to find
Well,
another avenue to
you
get
provide
in.
value. It's
But
just a different type of value. It's
it's like,
not
when
direct
you're
payments.
but like in your position or when I was working in retail, it's like you're physically there
Yeah.
selling items to people,
Yeah. I
bringing money
literally
in.
like
So
help people spend their money. And sometimes I say, hey, you should buy this. And
mhm.
sometimes I say, hey, buy this and not that.
Yeah.
Like that can actually change the dynamic, and the customer service is a huge aspect of it.
Mhm.
If they end up coming back because they liked me, which is a lot of what that is, it's like it's interpersonal, because of my attitude or whatever, my help, that makes the company money. Whereas the CEO who goes on a fucking golf trip in the middle of the day is just fucking spending money. It's fucking crazy. I really think that the corporate hierarchy system is very, very lopsided. It's
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very interesting. It's very power and all this stuff.
I mean, it would literally evolve into a
Very
conversation about how like the lack of distribution of wealth in this country and everything, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it
but that's a
all
different.
stems from like
Yeah,
this idea where like the people who are really grinding the gears are the fucking poor people at the bottom of the totem who spend their fucking lives
yeah.
working these dead
I
end
think
jobs to
there's a
make the whole
difference
machine work.
between the government distributing tax money that they take from
Mhm.
people and the idea of shared value in a company.
Well, but it also feeds into like corporate taxes, how like you find out that like certain people, because of different tax loopholes or whatever, like
Yeah.
don't pay any fucking
Well, and
tax.
bonuses is a crazy
Yeah.
concept. I think it's interesting because you'd think that it would maybe be correlated with commitment and expertise, and like if you're with a company for 20 years, it's different than like the person who's been there 6 months. Like the person 6 months might just leave. Why should they be rewarded in any major way? But after a while, if somebody's like loyal to a particular company, they're very valuable. Like if they're doing a good job and they bring value to the company, um, they just become they become very valuable. And the amount of money they make just be like based on minimum wage is not, there's a different value sequence to how that um gets distributed, as opposed to like the CEO or even just any like, you know, president, vice president, or district manager or whatever. Their value, I'm just skeptical of how they're creating value. Like I get that they are managing things and that they have, and a lot of it just has to do with tenure and life like experience. So it's like they've done it long enough to like get to deserve more money. It's not necessarily that they actually bring more value to the company. It's very interesting.
I don't
That's a
think that
whole
they
nother long
do. Yeah, the
conversation.
value proposition is interesting because, like, you know, if you're paying minimum wage to the people like in your stores, for example, that are actually moving product for you, and then you're paying the person who's like your CEO like however many millions of dollars. Like,
It's
what you're
such a
saying is that this,
desperation.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, like you're saying this one person is worth like fucking half of your store's employees and like hourly income, which is, you know,
Yeah.
600 or 700 people. And you're saying this one person's work is somehow more valuable than all that other work
But it's
that's
not
being
just more
done.
valuable, which it might be more valuable in that those decisions have longer term effects, like who to hire, what training practices to do, where money should go, blah, 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 how to spend assets. Those are big decisions that have huge impact on the way that a company is. But is it that much different than the value of having a really solid, well-trained frontline employee? Like, is it really that different?
Yeah.
Is it that big of a difference? Is it that different of a value? And I think that putting more investment into all the people, including all the lower end people, I think is just a way that businesses, it's an experiment that I'd like businesses to do more of. Like just
I'd like to
experiment by
see them.
by evening it out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's because they're all contributing a lot of value. And you know, I don't know. I think there's a lot to it. So, and it's a lot of history related to the way that it works. And like the incentive is to have you work hard enough to become one of those higher level positions. But why not incentivize people to be really good cashiers?
It's true.
You know what I
Well, and I
mean?
think if you compensated people, I mean, I would love to see a company who's like maybe has a CEO who's like, you know what, I'm going to pay me half and
Well, and that
take
happens
that other
sometimes.
half and just distribute it among all of our, like, let's make it so all of our hourly employees make
Yeah.
like $3 or $4 more an hour than they do now,
When it
and it won't
changes when
cost
you
us any more
have
money.
owner operators and when you have publicly traded, they don't give a fuck about the company. They care
Hmm.
about their dividends at the end of the year. So by squeezing the dollars, and the person who's really good at squeezing the dollars is the guy at the top. He can like squeeze all the way down without squeezing himself so much. And so the shareholders end up making money. But if you're an owner operator, you're working with the people at the front line.
Yeah.
It's just a totally different perspective.
But the problem is with usually typically with like the owner operated stuff is that it's not big enough to be pulling in the same kind of money. So it's like they sometimes they really can't afford to pay people a lot more because they just don't
Exactly.
have the fucking money
Well,
because
and the
it's a
publicly
smaller
traded
business.
thing, it has more money because
Yeah.
they sold their company to the public. And so the whole dynamic is very, very interesting. Um, and I think that the idea that people are pushing for minimum wage is in an effort to do what we're talking about. I don't
Hmm.
think that that's a good way to do it because it's a top down type of situation. Whereas if you did it from a more like philosophical perspective, that like if you own a company, you have this like really big opportunity to really make life awesome for everybody in your company, and to not forget about the people on the front line, and and to go and talk with them and meet with them and find out who sucks, because that's a lot of why they're afraid to pay people, is because they know that a lot of those low level things, you get really low level skills and poor customer service, and you know, people that aren't dedicated. But that's because you're not paying attention to them. They don't have good leaders.
Yeah.
And if you have really good leaders who should get paid a lot to be really good leaders, that should lead to really valuable underlings who also become really good leaders in their own way. um, and that, I think really good companies do that kind of stuff. I think that
Mhm.
I just haven't worked for too many really dynamic, interesting, experimental type companies. And a lot of the big companies like Walmart's and stuff just don't give, that's not their fucking philosophy. That's not their culture.
No.
They're churning people out like Amazon, you know, they're churning people out like fucking constantly, or like customer service call centers. Like people just don't like working for those places because they're fucking grueling and nobody gives a shit.
Well, because it's just you basically signing up to uh put yourself up for a lot of verbal abuse, especially in the call center. I mean, people are calling you because they have problems. They're not calling for any other reason. So it's just you dealing with other people's issues all for your whole shift constantly every day.
Yeah,
And
that's a tough job.
the push for like the minimum wage to increase. I know like the $15 an hour is a big one. It's like I feel like that's an idea that on paper sounds awesome, but I feel like ultimately it's just gonna if it happened, it would just mean that everything else would increase in
That's how
price.
it
Like ever,
works.
and so it's like you're making more money, but you also have to spend a lot more money to buy the same things you were buying. So it's like, you're probably not really actually pulling in any more money. You're just inflation, I guess, at its finest.
There's
But
lots of different ways to solve little problems
you would
like
literally have to
how
give
like
everybody a
living
raise and
conditions
then
and
not
things.
increase the price of anything for it to
But the
be.
only way to do that is to force price fixing, which never is a terrible idea. The
Mhm.
government getting involved in the economy, I think, is like generally a bad idea. Other than fraud, other than actual crimes, like
Yeah.
if somebody creates fraud in their company. But yeah, there's just you as a low level person with no experience, you have very little power to like make a CEO pay you more. They're like, I'll just find another person. What are you talking about?
That's the thing too, is I think
Yeah.
people overestimate their value to a lot of companies. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not really that valuable to them because they can just find somebody else. Like if
Yeah.
you left or whatever, or they'd fire you,
Yeah.
there's probably somebody else to fill the position.
Yeah.
Although right now, maybe that's not the case, because I know like you were saying earlier, a lot of companies are struggling to find people to work right now.
Right now, yeah, unemployment is high and
Crazy.
companies are missing out. They need people. And that's why a lot of people who have skills and experience are switching jobs and they're getting paid more to do it.
Mhm.
A lot of young people like our age are not sticking with the same job and they're moving from every couple of years to a new job because they are in demand. And I think that's good for the worker.
Yeah.
And and if you can stick with a job and learn skills, you can make more money even without a college degree. That's the thing too, is like with everybody having a really high level of literacy and almost everybody gets through high school and a lot of people have college degrees. They're all capable of doing all these menial jobs. Like there's a huge workforce that can do any of these menial jobs, so those jobs become less valuable.
Well, I think the thing is that college has become like a bog standard in our country. It's like everybody's told to,
It's
go to
just
college to get
yeah,
a degree to get a high paying job. And like
not
now
as
we have all
valuable.
these people who have college degrees now that have nothing to do because
Yeah, they're
everybody has them now.
overeducated,
It's
but
like,
they didn't plan well.
yeah,
You got a degree in something that is not useful.
because I've known plenty of people who have I mean, when I was running the Spencers, I had people with college degrees that were applying for fucking part-time sales positions because they just were trying to find any job they could. Because I mean, realistically, if you have a bachelor's in English, like it's not really, I mean, it'll help, I guess, when you're applying at certain places, but it's not really a degree that you get and then you go get a job. And you'd have to get like your master's degree and like a teaching certificate to go be an English teacher or
But
something like
that's like
that
a
to
high
do.
demand job. Like
Yeah.
teaching is really high demand. Like why don't people do that? There are so many
Because it
high demand
pays
jobs right now.
shit. That's
It
why.
pays more than I'm getting paid right now, and I'm
Yeah.
fucking pretty happy. Like
Yeah. But I
minimum
think,
wage, minimum like average for teachers in America is like over $50,000 a year. It's not that bad. Like
well, I
we all
think the
talk about
issue
it like
is,
it's horrible, but you can live off fucking $50,000 a year.
well, I think the issue is that like how much schooling is required and how much the cost
Yeah,
of
it's
that.
tough,
So
but
it's like, you go through all the schooling to get you become a high school teacher. You're
yeah,
making like 55,000 a year, but then you also have like fucking $60,000
yeah, a
in
hundred thousand
student debt
dollars
that
in
you're
debt.
trying to pay back, and you got to pay them like
But
four
most
or
of these
five hundred
people are
dollars a month.
already in fucking debt, so just
Yeah.
go get a fucking job with it.
And I've heard too that like with being a teacher that it's pretty strenuous and that you have to do a
It
lot,
is.
like
There's a lot
you're
of
teaching
red
classes during the
tape.
day, but then
Yeah.
there's a lot of,
But
you
you
got to
also
build your
get three
curriculum.
months off in the fucking summer. Like,
Yeah, that
boo
is pretty
fucking hoot.
nice.
It's not hard. I know. My mom's like in education. My
Uh-huh.
brother's in education. My whole family's in education. It's they're not fucking heroes. They're just doing jobs, and they get
Yeah.
3 months off, and a lot of them do other jobs on the side too. But the economy in America is very interesting. It's very interesting for sure. especially in that middle of the road area between like, 30,000 a year to 70,000 a year. Those folks are, you know, they're spending a lot of money and they're paying a lot of taxes.
Yes.
It's very
The
interesting.
taxes
Anyway,
is what really sucks, when
yeah, we
they're
can't get
taking
into
like a
that.
third of your fucking
Yeah,
check every payday. And I think that's why people are pissed when they find out, rightfully so, that these big
richer people.
corporations
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
aren't
it's
having to
very
pay anything.
interesting.
And you're
Yeah,
like, what?
taxes is like trying to justify why you should be stealing from people. Like, it's so funny. Anyway, like hey, steal from that fucker, not me.
Yeah.
It's, of course, who doesn't, nobody wants to get stolen from.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea is that there's people with so much wealth that it's like
It
they're
is
probably not
very
even,
interesting. It's
they're not
very
even going to
interesting
probably
concept.
notice that they had to pay
Oh yeah, they
X
just have like
million amount of
money
dollars to
in
the
the
government
bank
or whatever.
that they're doing nothing with.
Yeah.
I just think that that's like, it's not my right to take that money. I get that it'd be nice if they gave it to me or other people, and they could imagine how much could get done if the money got spent on, science and like revamping the education system. It'd
Well, and I
be
think that's why people are
amazing
so passionate about
futuristically.
it, is it's
But
like,
there really are a lot of people spending money in those areas.
mhm.
Actually, like there are a
I
lot
feel
of
like,
entrepreneurs and philanthropists who spend millions and millions, like Bill Gates, on STEM and on that stuff. And we are gonna, we're already fucking going, out into space and stuff. So
I just think that and I'm sure that there's a reason why this doesn't exist, because it's too basic of an idea. But I'm just like, why isn't there just a flat fucking tax rate for everybody? It's like you
I
pay
agree,
20%, just 20%. It doesn't matter fucking what you make,
because
where you work.
nobody
You give us
actually
20%
thinks
of your
we're
money.
equal. There's no
So,
equality. It's not about equality. Equality doesn't exist.
because then it would, I don't know, like, but, and I understand that, like, obviously, if you're really wealthy, you'd bitch because you're like, well, now I'm paying like way more than that guy working at McDonald's. And it's like, well, yeah, but you also are making way fucking more than the guy at McDonald's. He's still
But
paying
it's fair.
20%
If it's
share
a
to go
flat
towards
tax,
stuff.
then
Yeah.
you're the same person. Actually, you'd be getting well, because like I think that because it's on a scale, right? So the more you make, the more taxes you tend to pay, up to a certain limit in America.
Mhm.
So like if
That's
you
why
make a
sometimes
certain
when
amount,
you
that's
get
why
a
there's just
raise, you
tax
actually
brackets.
don't bring home as much money after
Exactly.
your raise because you put you in a higher bracket or whatever.
Yeah, and so you end up getting taxed a little bit more. But if it was flat, then that person who's super rich gets more of their money, as they get the same amount of like
Yeah.
as I do. Like, how is that not fair? That Yeah, it's very interesting.
And it's not like the person working the minimum wage job who's only paying the 20%. It's not like their life's awesome. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, they're super wealthy now because we're all paying 20%. It's like, no,
Yeah.
now
Well,
they
let's
just
say
have
you do
maybe
like
a little bit
10,
more money to eke pie on.
10% to the state, 10% to the federal government,
Yeah.
and then they leave you the fuck alone.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And you don't have to file taxes at the end of the year because they already know. Like, it's just done.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a whole nother thing, is like, why do I have to do all this fucking math when you've already stolen my money?
yeah.
What do you, why am I the
end
one?
up having to give me some
Yeah.
money back because I overpaid for some. It's like, just
Make it easy.
make me pay a fucking flat rate and then leave me alone. Exactly. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's my fucking contribution to society. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your recommendation this week?
Yeah, let's get out of here. My recommendation is a movie that has been out for a long time, and it's on Netflix now, and I just found it. I think they just added it to Netflix, and it's called Major Payne with Damon Wayans, and it's fucking awesome, and I highly recommend it.
Nice.
Have you ever seen it?
I feel like I did when I was younger. Because I feel like I can picture the cover of like the VHS or the DVD or whatever. Like,
it's so good. He's so fucking funny. It's like the best, like parody of military people, but it also is like another one of those like Stripes, where they're like take a ragtag group of people who don't give a shit and then like make them care and they all get better. And it's also like the Major Payne like gets he has a girl he likes and she kind of civilizes him, and but he's like fucking hilarious. He has a great like a character voice that he does in it. It's awesome.
No, I'll have to watch. I think I've seen it before, but it'd be like watching a new movie because I don't really recall it. Or it'll be one of those movies I start watching. I'm like, oh, never mind. Now it's all coming back to me.
It's got like tons of quotable lines. Yeah, here I'm gonna pull up some pictures real quick for you so you can see it.
Doesn't it like have a blue cover and then it's like him with like one of those sergeant hats on?
Major.
exactly.
It's a
Okay,
major hat. Yeah.
yep. That's exactly what I was thinking in
Yeah.
my head.
One tubby, 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 tubby. Two tubby, 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 tubby. He's just fucking awesome in it. It's so good. And it's kind of irreverent, but it's also
Oh,
like has
95. I was
heart.
gonna
It's
say,
got
didn't that movie came? I
kids.
feel like that movie came out like in the
Yeah.
90s, and it did in
Yeah.
1995.
And he laughs and then like he's like, I'm having a great time. He. It's so fucking good. It made me laugh out loud, LOL, multiple times, and that barely ever happens, even with the funniest comedies when you're by
Yeah, there's a
yourself.
lot of movies like comedies. Like I have a very specific type of comedy that I actually
Yeah.
laugh out loud at, and
Like
a
Tropic
lot of
Thunder,
times,
so good.
yeah, a lot of times I'm watching a comedy movie, and in my head I'm like, oh, that's funny,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's like not enough for me to actually like laugh
yeah,
out loud, fucking weeping. It's very rarely do I find something that's
yeah.
that funny.
I found
Um,
it. I'm not even done watching it. I watched like an hour and a half of it, and then
I
I had
don't
to
know how
go.
people do. How do people watch part of a movie? It's so weird.
Well, don't you do that with a book? Like you don't read the whole book.
I know,
You
but like
read
I think it's
a
because
chapter
movies
at a
are.
time.
I feel like it's because I don't start watching a movie unless I have enough time to finish it. I'm like, oh, this movie's 93 minutes long and I don't have to go anywhere for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Perfect. I can
I
watch the movie.
flip between media like
Oh,
constantly,
yeah, I
all the
can't.
time. I'll watch one show, then I'll start another show, and then I'll do
Oh,
another piece of
shows don't
show.
bother me because there's like,
In a
I think it's
movie,
because they have the
movies
definitive.
I don't do it as much.
Hmm.
Most of the time, I'm gonna get through that movie if I can. But at the same time, I've seen Major Payne before, like I don't mind too much.
I mean, I'll do that every once in a while. Like if it's a movie I've seen before, I'll start watching it and then maybe something comes up and I got to leave and then I'll just turn it off or whatever. But most of the time I don't go back and finish it because I'm like, I already know how it ends. I've seen it before. But and if it's a movie I've never seen, I like make sure I can sit down and watch the whole thing in one go.
Yeah.
The TV shows, like
Well,
whatever, I
yeah.
don't care. As long, I TV shows, I'm the same, but only so much in that I need to be able to finish the episode that I'm
See, and
watching. Because there's a
I don't give a
definitive
shit.
end
I'll
to that
stop
episode.
20 minutes in. I'll stop 5 minutes into an episode. I don't give a shit. I just don't care anymore.
And then with books, I try to only stop reading when I hit a chapter break.
See,
if
with
I
books,
can.
I kind of have to read to the end of the chapter. I have a weird, because
Yeah.
books to me like are more memory based. I guess I don't know that for me a book I kind of have to finish a chapter, but
The only time I don't is if I'm like so tired and I keep nodding off and I just can't
Yep.
get to the end of the chapter. And then what ends up happening is the next day I go to read it. I usually have to go back a page or two and like reread it because
Yeah.
at that point I was so tired. I was like almost just trying to get through it without really committing any of it to memory. So, yeah. Anyway, my recommendation this week, which I was talking about it last week, I'm pretty sure, or maybe the week before, is a book called Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton, which I think most people know Michael Crichton from Jurassic Park. That's like his fucking huge thing that, you know, like the movie in particular. But Eaters of the Dead is really cool because it's basically a rendition of Beowulf, written by an Arabian, I think it's Arabian. His name's Ibn Fadlan. And which I guess he was like an actual historical person that existed and was like a traveler and an ambassador. And obviously in this story, it's a fictional account, but it's written like it's so he doesn't like Michael Crichton does an interesting thing. Instead of just telling the story like as a third person story, or it's basically written in such a way that people have discovered his manuscript from this adventure he went on with these Northmen to go save this kingdom from these like unknown assailants, basically. So it, like when you're reading it, there's like these little side notes. It'll be like, oh, in this part, the manuscript was damaged, and these translators have argued over what the context of this particular thing is, but we believe it means this. It's written in a really interesting way where it's like you're reading it like this firsthand account of this guy and his experiences with these Scandinavians. So he's like observing their culture and like making comments and observations about it while also embarking on this like epic adventure with them to fight off and protect this kingdom. And it's such a well-written and it's very dense in that it's only like a 200-page maybe book, but so much happens in it and there's so much material there. But it's really totally worth reading. It's very entertaining, especially if you're kind of a fan of Beowulf or those types of hero plots where like a group of heroes has to go save this place from this outside force and like it's defenseless against it, kind of a thing, kind of like Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven. But in a lot of people might be familiar with it more so because the movie The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas that came out in the 90s is basically the film adaptation of Eaters of the Dead. And they're pretty similar. Eaters of the Dead has much more information in terms of their culture and things like that. And so obviously some events happen differently in the book from the movie, but the movie does a solid, that's like one of my favorite movies actually. But the movie does a really great job of adapting the book, but you should definitely read it. I think you would enjoy the book too, because I feel like in a way it reads like a nonfiction book, but it's completely fictional. It's really cool. Like I am sort of envious of the way he wrote it. Like it's I feel like it would be a challenging and interesting way to write a novel. And it's really good.
You
And
should
not terribly long.
You should
either.
just send it to me when you're done.
Just send it to you.
Can you do that? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
It's like
Or I can just order a copy and send it to you too. It's usually pretty cheap on Amazon.
I don't want you to buy me stuff. I just feel like books are easily shared, but not when you live far away from each other.
I am. Yeah, I read the book like a while ago, and then I just listened to the audiobook. And the guy who read the audiobook does a fucking great job too.
Nice.
Yeah, really good. It's one of those books I didn't like. I used to watch The 13th Warrior all the time as a kid. It's one of my favorite movies, and then I didn't realize it was based off of a book. Because you almost never know unless you're really paying attention to those opening credits in a movie where it's like based off of, Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. So like if you're not actually,
I don't even remember that from the movie. Yeah.
Is that at the end? Yeah, it's in the beginning.
It's in the beginning.
Like in the opening credits. Yeah.
It's like you just brush past it because you're not.
Yeah, or it's like
sure
you kind of read over it and it just doesn't click in your brain that it's based off of anything.
Yeah. Great movie. I watched that recently. Super good.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas. Cool. I got another book to read. I'm almost done with the Flesh book. I'm at I only have a couple chapters left. It's fucking wild. Dude, we'll talk about it.
I can't wait for you to finish it because I want to talk about the ending with you so much. Like
it's fucking interesting.
I just remember I'm not even about it.
Yeah, we gotta.
I don't even want to tell you how I was feeling while reading it because I just don't want. I just want you to go into just.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when I'm done. I'm almost done. So cool. Well, that's gonna do it for us today. I just want to put things in her. What did I say earlier today?
Poke it in or
put it in.
Poke something like that.
Poke put. Shot put.
Pokemon.
Go to Joe's Notes blog for show notes and for my other stuff. I just did a bunch of photography with Joey Edwards of his new wire art, so I'm going to put out a photo blog about that. So that's going to be really cool. And go check out Cheney's books. He's got a new one coming out here pretty soon, so you should read the ones that came before it. So you can get caught up and know what's going on. How long do you think till the new one comes out?
I don't know.
Like
hopefully,
months?
I mean, before the end of the year, it's hard to. I'll know for sure once. It depends on how quickly Vanessa's able to do her part of the editing. Because usually once I get it back from her and I apply her edits, I usually do at least one more editing run, depending on how it looks. So I'll know more once I find out when she's done, because sometimes it takes her a month or two in between, because she works a full-time job and has like a life that's not dedicated solely to editing my books. So sometimes she gets them quick, sometimes it takes her a little longer. It just depends on what she's got going on.
She after a while she could like get a job editing. Like
I put her as an like when you go look at my books on Amazon, I list her as an editor every time, just because I mean she does a lot of editing for me. She's very good at it.
Nice. Built-in manual free labor.
Yeah, it's fucking expensive. I've looked at hiring editors before, and like a lot of them charge like by the word, which at first doesn't seem like that much when it's like 5 cents per word or something like that, and you're like, oh, but I have this is a 90,000 word fucking document, so it gets expensive. It's like really 2
cents per word or whatever, and you're like, fucking what? Yeah,
it's like $300-$400 for them to read over it once for you.
Yeah. So just like editing video or editing photos, like it's a job. It's tough. I mean, it's not tough, but it's like work. All right, thanks everybody. And
2 cents a word, it'd be $1,800 I'd have to pay somebody, an editor, to edit my latest book. Roughly. But
if they do a really good job, it's probably worth it. I mean, but you're making you're not making $1,800 on your book, so it's not worth it.
No, that's why you only get professional editors when you actually have like a publishing deal, and usually the publisher's paying the
Yeah,
editor to
'cause they needed
make
to
it nice and clean. So
clean it. Yeah. Clean it up.
nope, this is all indie. This is an indie effort on my part, so it's fucking homegrown. It's going with that.
Isha. 跟住 Isha。
Okay.